Panogita moru purita nonda kantai mantunat nyagi toru ilugar para ionra para gloria abibai islasen para honra, para gloria, abiba islasen para todo y tempo y paz para ita dan gini langit na bendición contra peligro na fansafuham tus protegis languam contra peligro na fansafuham tus protegis languam.
Good morning, Guam! Yeah, Viva Venice! Come on, Bree.
Good morning! Yay!
It's Friday.
I'm already looking at this funny comment from Glenn.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Glenn. What does he call you? Snicker poodles or what?
No, you have to read that.
Nanny Boodles, but this he wrote, "Good morning, Miss Gorilla Glue Barbie."
Yeah, you're never gonna live that one down.
Sorry, I'm not up on my weed knowledge.
We're gonna school you. They're gonna be calling you Sativa Sabrina by the end of this show.
Sativa. Is that like a sugar sweetener?
Yeah, okay, it is. Yeah, I put some in your coffee.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be a really interesting show. Hey, it's 6:28. Good morning, Guam. Good morning, Micronesia. Good morning, Bardstown, Kentucky, and all over the world, or the world, like my little baby Callie Joe says. It's Friday, the 5th day of June, containing COVID, right here on Guam's favorite I-94. It's the KUM News Takeover of I-94 at 628, and it's all proudly brought to you by Calvo Enterprises, Ambrose Inc., IT&E, Coast 360, and the Bank of Guam. As always, a ginormous, to quote Andy Wheeler, show for you guys here. Good morning, Sabrina.
Happy.
Well, it's finally Friday.
It is. Wow, we made it to Friday.
This week was a long one. but we're here, guys, and we've got a whole jam-packed show for you guys. Hey, it's been a while since we checked in with Dr. Doom, Dr. Felix Cabrera of the Physicians Advisory Group. So he's going to come on in the 7 o'clock hour. Also, from the Guam Community College, we'll talk to Dr. Mary Okada and find out about the Department of Labor Processing Center that's been stood up there. And the Roosevelt was in and then out, I guess. And so we're going to check in with our friend Christina, who's the mother of a Roosevelt sailor, and try and find out what she knows, what she can tell us that's not classified about the boat coming into Guam and then leaving again. Also, we'll talk with Mayor Luis Rivera. She's always got a lot going on into Tumon Harmon. And I want to ask her again about the homeless. You know, she's been one of the consistent voices in support of housing the homeless, not just during the COVID, but pre-COVID even.
Yeah. I also want to ask her about the massive cleanup that we hear is going to be occurring down in Tumon at the end of the month.
And it's something that we were looking at last night, and also with Mayor Hoffman yesterday, sending the pictures of that illegal dump at Pago Bay. As you guys were listening yesterday, we talked with Nick Lee of Guam EPA, and it looks like illegal dumping didn't take a break during the COVID. The illegal dumpers did not stay home, and they're out there trashing our island still. You know, good thing you guys find the time to trash our island. Thank God. That was sarcasm, by the way. So, yeah, we've got some very unnerving pictures for you guys this morning of, one of a frequent illegal dumping spot right in the heart of the tourism district. So if we're going to reopen tourism, it looks like we got some Nagasgas Guam to do first.
And the problem with the one place that we're going to show everybody is that it's always like that. Right. And they've cleaned it up. I know GHRA has held cleanups, GVB, and then it's back to where it was before.
Yeah.
Does it seem like there's, enough enforcement, I guess you could say?
I guess it would be enforcement. And then, and we're going to talk about this coming up. But to give you a little bit of a reveal, we're talking about the parking structure in Tumon. And I think it's a twofold issue, a two-pronged issue, if you will, is that you have this massive public health hazard. I think it's a public health hazard.
It is. I remember when you went there, you did a story on it, and then
we're just gonna pop the pictures up now.
Okay, and then it went to follow up right before COVID.
Right.
We went there because we had heard that the landowner was issued an NOV, but they couldn't find him, so they couldn't actually give him the NOV.
Right. They should have gotten the marshals to do it, or the repo man. The marshals and the repo man, they could find anybody.
Yeah, and you warned me. You were like, do not go inside. Do not drive in there. Do not walk in there, because some of the people there are kind of feisty. And at first I was like, I don't care. I'm going to go try. And but first I wanted to go around the backside of the hotel, and I could actually hear them talking, and I could tell, there may have been some alcohol involved.
Yeah,
so
okay,
I'm just going to shoot my video from here.
Right.
And you can see I'm going to leave. And it was terrible. It was so sad.
We're playing the pictures now. Yeah, we're giving you guys basula for breakfast. Look at that.
That is that abandoned parking garage structure in Tumon by the... Subway, right?
Yeah, it's Subway? Right behind Blue Lagoon Plaza. Yep.
And this is owned by David Sue.
Yeah.
He's the same person that also owns Verona Resort.
Right. Frequent appearances in the news for this type of thing.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and forwarded these pictures. Again, God, donuts. I don't know how many times I forwarded pictures of this to Guam EPA. I sent it to Nick Lee last night, and he was like, I'm going to forward it. And I was like, you know what, Nick, you might as well just forward it to the trash can. Forward it to the God Donuts trash can. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. And, another prong, I guess, of this is that what we hear, and I don't know if it's necessarily how Guam EPA feels, is they're saying, oh, well, this mess is being caused by people who are squatting on this property.
That's a lot of trash.
And so I've actually spoken to David Sue about this, and he said, hey, I closed it up. I blocked it off. They still go in. I've tried to make deals with them where, hey, you guys are going to be staying here, at least try and clean the place up. Nagasgas Guam, clean your area, like my grandpa would say. My grandpa, if he saw that, he'd be like, this is a fire hazard right here, boy. And it is. You go, there are restaurants like right 10 feet away from this huge mess. And when I went there, right next door, when I went there, there was dead rats in there.
Mm-hmm.
There were snakes hanging from the fence. Obviously, whoever's occupying this building, all they do is drink beer all day and throw their freaking beer cans and their beer boxes over the edge. So it's pissed me off, man. I had a hard time going to sleep last night because I think I've done this same damn story 10 times.
And what the same situation or similar situation is the road in Jigo.
Oh, God.
That's another one. And I got to feel, the mayor tried. They go out there, they clean it, but it's the same thing. The next day, it's the same.
And it reaches a certain point where I get it, man. I grew up so poor, like we couldn't afford, and I don't even know what trash service we were using back then. But yeah, I grew up poor, so I understand. People can't afford the trash service. But Dad, that doesn't mean you're going to go throw it in the jungle. Yeah. There are ways to get rid of and I just don't buy it. After a while, I understand, And I went on a cruising with Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. Was that last year?
Yeah, I think it was last year.
Yeah, I want to find out when that was because I went on a cruising with Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, and this was one of the issues that we brought up, and he had these great ideas where they were going to do a multi-agency, basically an attack of these illegal dumps, and he was saying, well, maybe what we need to do is just eat it and put out the big trash dumpster in the village. On certain days, everybody who's got trash, you just go dump it in there and, Guam eat it. Mm-hmm. We eat so many things. We eat the exorbitant salaries of these political hires. I don't know why we can't eat some expenses that actually do good for Guam. Mm-hmm. And so, we talked all this big talk about we're going to put a dumpster and people can go dump and we're going to mobilize DPW. And it's few and far between. So what will happen is the media will do these stories on illegal dumps. Everyone will get mad. The mayors will get butthurt. They'll go out, DPW, backhoe, clean up that area by almost by Ukudu, going down the pipeline there. Remember, that's a really bad one.
Well, yes, Senator Rogel let it clean up there with the FSM community.
Right. And so what ended up happening, and we all know this, he cleaned it up, left it there to be picked up. It wasn't picked up, got respread all around. Mm-hmm. Basically,
because there was so much trash. Right. They couldn't pick up everything.
So I just don't know. It's just a basic issue, and you could cast blame all around from the idiots who are illegally dumping to these senators who don't do anything about it through, I don't know, enforcement or some kind of legislation. There got to be something. Doing anything right now is better than what we're doing because we're doing nothing. Zero.
Yeah. We have all these nonprofit organizations that step up, that do their part and help volunteer to clean up our island, the beaches, everything. But it's, I don't know, it's just so frustrating. Why can't we get our act together?
And especially our people, man. I'm not going to excuse away, and, we can blame the senators, we can blame, the lieutenant governor for not putting the dumpster out there. There's a lot of people to blame. But ultimately, no one is putting a gun to your head and making you dump your trash where you're not supposed to dump it. Yeah, ultimately the bottom line is the buck stops with your illegal dumping ass. Well, I didn't want to start the show like this.
Yeah, well, how did we get
here?
I don't know.
It's that damn video. Can you just play it one more time, Jay? It just put me, last night I was in a good mood. I was like, la-di-da-di. I made myself some homemade salmon poke that was spicy. And I had my good dinner, and then...
And you sent me pictures.
Then I got the pictures, and I was like, what the hell? Oh, no. Hell no, not again. I called my source. I was like, these are the pictures from the story I did a few months ago before COVID. And they were like, no, that's from today. Like, oh, what? Yeah, so that's why we started the morning cranky. And before we went on, I don't know if you guys saw us talking. I was like, come on, Bree. Let's just go on. Let's just power through. We'll just put in a good hard 4 hours. We'll clock out, and it's Friday, and, we made it. And she was like, yeah, okay, let's go, sunshine. Let's go. Da-da-da. And then, boom, right out the gate. Illegal dumping. I hate you. It's just, obviously, if you love our island and this is not ruining your breakfast, you don't have a heart. And so this is going to be part of what we talked about yesterday with Jerry Perez
Mm-hmm.
and the big, massive cleanup that's going to be happening down in Tumon and extending out from what he was saying to the parks, to the beaches, to anywhere that anyone who is visiting Guam might go and see some trash. So yeah, I think it's good. They were saying that was going to be more towards the end of the month.
Yeah, they said that I think the last weekend of the month.
But you don't got to wait till the end of the month.
Yeah,
You don't. You can go out. And the beach I run to in Epan, man, it was and I talked about this when the COVID left Guam and we started just reopening everything because COVID's gone. People started going back to the beaches, and when people start going back to the beaches, they start littering. And so there's this one beach where there's this bunch of trash and stuff, and I went there the other day, and it was just annoying. Went there yesterday, and someone had bagged it all up and left a little sign, and the sign said something along the lines of, "You have a beautiful island. Let's keep it that way."
Mm-hmm.
And just by looking at that sign, I'm thinking maybe it's someone who's not from here. And sometimes, sadly, what it takes for a lot of us hard-headed people to get something through to our head is when a visitor says something. When somebody who's not from Guam says something, man, you guys got a beautiful island. Why you trash it like this? Oh my God, that just hits so hard. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got to do our part. Nagasgas Guam, and those pictures are just one spot in Tumon, and we got more. There's more. People were sending me all kinds of illegal dumping pictures.
The pictures in Chalan-Pago or
Right,
Pago
Pago
Bay.
Bay. Yeah, that's nuts.
And we've seen that. I think was it Jason might have been the one, or maybe it was Ken, where we did the live stream on Earth Day last year of that beach at Pago Bay. It was terrible. Were you there, Jace? Yeah, that was terrible. I didn't realize how bad it wasn't, like I said yesterday, until we turned the corner onto the shore.
You, Ken, and I. We took our streaming gear down there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Solis.
Hello. Yeah, that was not pretty.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was
And that's a very
sad.
delicately way of saying. I mean,
There's a comment here, guys. Peaceful protest for Clean Our Island.
oh, there we go. But you know what and Nick Lee, you reference him. But the rats are basically like waiting there because they're attracted to the smell. They're vermin. They breed disease. They're coming, and people are saying in the chat room right now, and they were like, yes, let's do the dumpsters. Please clean up the island. One thing that people have brought up, not just on this morning's live stream, but also on Twitter, people were like, why do locals have to take time out of their day? I mean, yeah, it is our island, and it if you want to go to the island is our mother, and you don't disrespect your mother, so we have to take care of it. But dude, I could be working on school projects. I could be trying to get into, get a job, something like that. I got to take 4 hours out of my Saturday morning. I could be like resting in bed. I got to go there and clean up somebody else's mess.
Yeah,
And it's always like
care.
that.
yeah.
And they're just like, the locals will clean it up. It's cool. That's. I mean, that literally and figuratively is messed up.
Yeah, it's just, and they act like it's so complicated, but I felt like when I strolled with Lieutenant Governor Josh, it seemed pretty easy. Yeah, it's obviously a problem. People can't afford to dump their trash. They're going to dump it in the jungle. So let's give them some place to dump it once a week. Maybe Dedido, it's on a, Wednesday. Hey, no questions asked. Come throw your stuff. Mm-hmm. Because, when we talk about being under the COVID and going back to normal, it just pisses me off that this is normal for us to start trashing our island again.
Okay, and when we were going out, when we were doing those starting lineups, Chris, I know because Bree, you and I went to Chalan-Pago.
Yeah, you're my dumping partner.
Yeah, how many did we go to? We went to
too many, Jason. We went to too many.
The Ukuru Pipeline, and that was nasty. I mean, the smell there was. I mean, thank God that live streaming doesn't have smell-o-vision because that was bad. We also did, what was that? And way back in Jigo.
Right.
I mean, I'm from Jigo. I didn't even know Jigo.
What's that area called, Bree?
Chalon Ramirez?
Is it
Chalon
Ramirez?
It
Yeah.
was super far in there.
What's her name? Bus Stop Betty.
Right.
She held so many cleanups there. God, I forgot her first name.
And I mean, it's not. I mean, you can say, okay, it's discarded cars, it's diapers, it's
toilet bowls,
It's everything.
I mean, it's
couches,
it's the Assam
stoves.
black tea stuff. But I mean, it's also refrigerators. It's things that you would never think that people like car batteries.
Like, how do you drive into the jungle with 5 refrigerators on the back of your truck?
Yeah, seriously.
And no one says anything.
Mm-hmm.
And these dump sites, It's like,
vanity mirrors for the house.
it's like one way in, one way out. And so when people are going in there with all this mountain of trash on their truck, how do we not have more people
Does anybody
calling
remember?
the cops or what? You know?
Does anybody remember way back when Guam EPA used to have this collection where you could drop off like your old batteries? Do you
Right.
remember
Yeah,
that?
I
It was
remember
way
that.
back in the day. It was when,
Hassel Guam.
Was it Hassel Guam?
Yeah. There
Yeah.
used to be a lot of good programs
Yeah,
back in the
and
day.
they used to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the
People would
DEA
take
does like a
advantage
similar
of it.
program with, like dispose of your
Take back your- you're right,
Yeah, to
right,
take
yeah.
back your prescription meds, no questions asked. Just, come in, drop it off and everything, and they'll get rid of it.
That's what's really missing is
don't remem-
this generation. Like, I don't know if it's maybe it's people who aren't our age kind of calling the shots, but guys, it's proven what works: jingles, marketing campaigns, education campaigns, and maybe we're just not. I mean, and I understand. I'm not making excuses. Like they're not. Oh, they're dumping because they're not educated. No, they're dumping because they're idiots.
Okay.
But we still got to do our part. And the thing is, the kids hear it when they're young. It sticks with them. I mean, we're talking about Hasu Guam, and this was just basically. It was like I said. It was a day where Gov Guam just ate it. We're gonna eat it. We're gonna open up. You guys come and dump whatever you got. We'll worry about
Yeah,
it.
they
Okay,
used to have it like periodically.
They need to bring it back. Yeah.
Let's give some context to like the young people watching right now, and for all of you who are like around.
I'm 45.
Yeah, I'm 46. You're
Hey, shut up.
you're around that age, let's say,
Yeah.
if not younger, right? Okay, for people our age, right? If we were out at a family function, and child rearing and the discipline of children is a lot different these days, right? But Chris, you brought up your grandpa, right? If your grandpa actually saw you take like a drink container or the cardboard or something like that and just discard it on the side, what would he do to you, my friend?
I wouldn't even think to do that. I wouldn't even get to the thought, and before I even thought of it, I'd be whacked upside the head.
Oh, no, okay, I can just see my tata right now, like walking into Ganya Heights. Because I tried to do that once, me and my cousin, because we're idiots, right? All I heard was this behind me. I turned around and my entire world was in slow motion, and it's my tata stripping the tangan.
Yep.
I got it on the back of the knee, the soft part. Ooh, that stung.
Or the casas, the back scratcher was always another one.
Oh yeah, but that's what you got because our elders were
This was the pre-CPS era.
yeah, they
Nobody
were
got
like
the belt?
they're like
I
don't
got the
do
belt.
that.
I got the belt.
I got the extension cord.
My relatives I got the extension cord too. What's it starting to turn into 50 Shades of Grey? The 50 Shades of Grey of child abuse.
Okay, our topic for this morning in the chat room. What have you been spanked with?
You know the Navy utility belt? It has like a little metal part at the
Ooh.
end.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember going to school with little L's on my thigh from that little metal part. Man, my mom used to wear those. You guys remember when those wooden like clogs were in? It was like wood, and then it had the one strap over your foot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bro. You think getting a Zori thrown at you?
Or did one of your uncles like take like the big belt, like
You
the
try-
Budweiser belt,
you try
and they
to-
go tack, tack, and they slap the two sides together? Man, you hear that leather clap, and yeah, your entire worldview changes in a second. You're like, oh boy.
Me and my cousins used to go and because we knew when we were gonna get it because there was a buildup. Like they would start yelling. They're gonna yell 45 minutes before the whooping. So when they're yelling, we'd run in and put on like 5 underwears and 2 extra shorts, and you would get it. And then when they found out you were wearing all that extra padding, you'd really get it. Anyway,
Did you guys ever have to carry books?
yeah, nose in the
Did you
circle.
I used to have to.
What'd
carry
you do to
books.
carry books, Bree?
Well, if one got in trouble, everybody got in trouble.
It's a team thing.
Yeah. So it's just me and my 2 brothers. But,
We
you
need
know.
to institute that for the government. Like, one of you guys screw up, you're all
Okay.
going down.
Okay, our chat room, our comment stream is the best. You know, they jump on these conversations, and I guess when we started, how were you disciplined when you're a kid?
Child abuse today, discipline back then.
It's a rather active conversation. So you guys go in and jump on that. We'll try and bring some of those comments up. There's a lot. Yeah, head knocks, says Christina Babata.
Ooh, head knocks.
Head knocks. Yeah, that's a Christmas. Upside the head, however you want.
Yeah,
What was it? Just Tillich? Was it just Deska? No, that was
that wasn't enough.
minor.
Never enough. That was the appetizer.
Okay,
We're going to start with a good Tealik, a course of Tealik, and then Deska, and then we'll move on to go pick your. That's the worst is when they make you go pick your stick.
okay, and then now let's bring this more current, right? With the both of you as parents of young children, if you saw your kids do that, what would you say, and then what would you do to make them aware that they were doing something wrong, and then to correct their actions.
First of all, the kids nowadays can't handle it.
Yeah.
They can't handle it, and
Explain.
because I really think about this a lot. I think our generation, because we're like the last generation to really get our ass whooped and kicked, and it shows. I think we see our kids and we want to shelter them from all that, and then there's always a lot of sheltering you do as a parent, right? And it's a balance of like, how much do I want to shelter my kids, and how much do I want to let them know that, the world's crazy or whatever, but they just can't handle it because we're trying to protect them from everything. And like when I think about the whoopings I got when I was a kid, and think about me doing that, there's no way I would ever do that to my kids.
Yeah.
But and then I still love my mom and all my family, and I know that they were doing at the time what they thought was best. And for the most part, I think it kind of worked.
Yeah, turned out all right.
Well, again, it
For
makes
the most part, but
it makes an impression physically
right,
too.
But some people who were disciplined like that, they think it's the norm, and then they grow up and they discipline their kids that way, and then we read about them in the news.
Okay, real quick,
Yeah.
Sabrina actually brought up she made a topic trend because Alan Addison Nicholas is saying, kneel on rise and hold the books.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
See,
and then
I'm-
if you drop
I
the
don't like
book,
that.
they put another book on top. Love you, Mom.
That's
I'm
why
not-
That's why you're good at those kettlebells. Huh?
Okay, and Cynthia Cepeda says, kneeling with books, arms stretched out for a long time. Oh, that sounds like tryouts for like basketball. You would have to like hold the weights and like be up against the wall.
Sometimes my mom would change it up though, because whooping is one thing, but we would get a whooping and then it would be like write 500 times.
Oh,
I will not disrespect
tried
my
that.
relatives, or I love my mom, or I
well,
will not.
I'm half Howley, so of
I
course
will
me
not-
was like go and face the wall.
Right.
So. But Glenn Lujan, once again, how is Glenn not a top fan at this point?
Nanny Poodles.
Yeah, no, okay, Nenny Poodles. Oh, you're Nenny Poodles, right? Glenn has a laundry list. He goes, okay, here we go. It's a rather lengthy list. Slippers,
Oh, yes.
head knocks, extension cord, belt, tangan, which was, what
This is what I mean, like 50 Shades of Grey. Just
Yeah.
get the visual
Oh,
of like
and-
grandpa and grandma rolling out the drawer, and it's all, everything's
and lastly, and perhaps most dramatically, cowtail.
there. Oh, yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. All right.
And
I
on
don't
that
know what
note-
happened there, but the whole hour went by and we didn't even do the news. So let's
Oh, shoot.
let's do
Okay.
the news, guys.
All right.
There you go, a little basula and a little abuse for breakfast. Thanks for taking that stroll down Abuse Lane with us. Hey, and good morning to our Edward R. Murrow award-winning social media networks.
Can they take that back? Can they rescind that? I hope not.
Yeah. No, I think we got it already. We're good, right?
Yeah, we're
Don't
good.
answer their emails. It's 6:52 now. As we always do, usually a little bit earlier in the hour. Let's start with a dive into the day's COVID-19 headlines from the KUAM news team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Manzanani.
Afade, good morning, everyone. The number of COVID cases on Guam remains at 179. A total of 147 samples were ran through Public Health's lab on Thursday. 0 turned up positive. As reported, more information was released on the recent 2 positive cases. According to Public Health Situation Report, both are men, one between the ages of 40 to 49, the other between 70 to 79. One of the new cases was identified through community testing and did not report contact to a confirmed case. The other recently traveled and was identified while staying in a government quarantine facility. This case tested positive through PCR testing at GMH. No information was provided as to whether the 2 new cases were symptomatic. Additionally, one of the new positive cases is currently in isolation at the Guam Memorial Hospital. The SIT report does not provide specific information about the positive cases other than one is homeless, a non-resident, and had recent travel to Mexico. Again, the total number of COVID cases on Guam is 179. Free community testing continues today. Drive-through and walk-through testing is being done at the Sinahanya Mayor's office from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. On Monday, testing will be done at Public Health Central Health Center in Barrigada. This is also free and open to Palau residents. As a reminder, you do not need to have symptoms to get tested. Just bring an ID. Families affected by COVID will be able to receive USDA Families to Farmers food boxes and disaster household distribution food commodity bags next week at 3 locations. From June 9th and June 11th, recipients will get 1 bag of food commodities and 1 Farmers to Families food box of fresh fruits or vegetables. A total of 5,000 bags of commodities will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. Distribution may end early if all available resources are distributed before 10. On Tuesday, June 9th, distribution will be held at Mount Lamlam and Agate Umatic and the Dededo Farmers Market. Then on Thursday, June 11th, distribution will be held at the Teedson Upper Baseball Field and in Jotnia at the St. Francis Church. Again, that is from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The USS Theodore Roosevelt returned to Guam unannounced Wednesday to pick up some sailors it left behind, and just as quickly as it sailed in, it's now headed back out to sea. Do we have this report from Nestor Lecanto? Here we go.
Brought to you by GTA. We start with you.
Governor Leon Guerrero and local hotel officials were among the dignitaries invited to today's send-off. The Teddy Roosevelt last left Guam on May 21st after spending more than 2 months in port here to address a coronavirus outbreak on board. A spokesman for Joint Region Marianas confirms that it returned to pick up remaining crew members that were left behind but who now meet return to work criteria. The Navy says any sailors who still don't meet the criteria and require additional time ashore to recover will remain in isolation on Naval Base Guam. They will continue to receive medical care by military medical representatives. Once recovered, transportation will be coordinated to move the sailors on board the Roosevelt or to their final duty station. 100% coronavirus testing. The Navy adds that while the ship was away for about 2 weeks, its Air Wing 11 completed carrier qualifications. We asked if any of the crew were granted shore leave while here. The Navy's response was that the ship is in a fully operational status in support of tasking in the Indo-Pacific.
Brought to you by
PPE for Guam and GMH will hold another mask repair day tomorrow. Guam Memorial Hospital has over 7,000 N95 masks that, due to the age of them, need their elastic bands replaced. Volunteers are needed to help with repairs to more than 5,000 masks. The masks, which come from the U.S. Strategic National Stockpile, have been in storage for years. During that time, the elastic band holding the mask to the face is disintegrated. Though the mask itself is in good condition, tomorrow's Mask Day repair is from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You can sign up for a shift by going to tinyurl.com/GMH masks. Volunteers will meet in the 4th floor education room at the hospital to ensure the safety of all and maintain sterile processes. Volunteers will be placed in 5-person teams and required to maintain social distancing and practice additional safety measures. No sewing experience is required, and all materials and instructions will be provided. Police Officer Stephen Tapasnia's petition to force the government of Guam to pay double pay to frontliners has been denied by Superior Court Judge Anita Sokola. According to the decision, Tapasnia failed to demonstrate that the police department was closed and further failed to allege that other GPD employees were on excused leave status. Court documents state that by rule, Tapasnia is only eligible for double pay or compensatory leave for hours he works, while the other employees are on excused leave. Deputy Attorney General James Canto owned in on this specific portion of the administration's department's rule on a state of emergency double pay during arguments last week. Ultimately, the court agreed. Tapasnia's attorney Tom Fisher tells KUAM, "We are looking at taking the matter to the Supreme Court. We feel the facts are on our side, the law is on our side, and principles of decency as well. We expect to ultimately prevail." The AG's office meantime issued a statement. "At the start of this case, we said that the court would be bound by the rules. In the decision, the court raised the same issues identified in our legal opinion and came to the same conclusion. The rule as written requires a facility to be closed and an essential employee to remain on duty while other employees are on excused leave in order to qualify for double pay or compensatory time off. But being right does not always mean winning. We have consistently pointed out the inequity that would result from following the rules. Officer Tapasnia has the right to appeal the court's decision to the Supreme Court. However, we do not expect the result will be different because neither our office nor the courts have the ability to rewrite our laws. Litigation cannot serve as a substitute for legislation. That power rests solely with the legislature." Port Authority General Manager Roy Respicio confirms an internal investigation will be conducted after a port police officer was arrested for sexual assault. 49-year-old Frank Coe James St. Nicholas, who is also a local traditional healer, was arrested after 3 victims came forward alleging he had sexually assaulted them. St. Nicholas was charged with 2 counts each of 3rd and 4th degree criminal sexual conduct. According to court documents, a 23-year-old victim was seeking Chamorro spiritual services from St. Nicholas in January at his Jigo home. St. Nicholas was massaging the victim and then allegedly raped her. He then allegedly told her, quote, "This is good. The spirits would want this." Police continued to investigate similar allegations stretching back to 2017. In a statement, Respicio said he has ordered an internal investigation to address the administrative portion of this matter. This will be separate from the criminal investigation by GPD. He declined releasing further details because the matter is now under investigation. For regional news, we now head over to the CNMI, where we check in with our Tomas Manglotnia. Hi, Tomas. Hi, Tomas, are you there? Okay, we'll try and check in with him a little later. Actually, that might be him now. So, Tomas, are you there? Okay. Moving on, the Democratic Party of Guam will hold a special election and caucus drive-through voting tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the Adelup Breezeway. The special election will be to vote for the party's state chair, and the caucus will elect 7 at-large delegates for the upcoming 2020 Democratic National Convention to be held on August 17th through the 20th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Guam will send a total of 13 delegates to the 2020 Democratic National Convention. The delegation will include the party chair, vice chair, national committeeman, and national committee woman, Governor Lulian Guerrero, Congressman Michael St. Nicholas, and 7 at-large delegates. In national news, the first of many memorial services for George Floyd has begun in Minneapolis. It follows a night of mostly peaceful protests around the country and new charges against all 4 ex-police officers connected to Floyd's death. Michael George has the latest.
A somber moment in Minneapolis as George Floyd's body arrived at North Central University escorted by his family. Inside the auditorium, loved ones paused in front of his casket to pay their respects. The family's attorney and the Reverend Al Sharpton are featured speakers. Frida Mulba and her family came to the outside of the memorial to show their support.
It's very sad that somebody had to lose their life in order for things to be changed or our voices to be heard.
Following today's service, Floyd's body will be flown to North Carolina, where he was born, for a public viewing and a private family service Saturday. There will be a large public service on Monday in Houston, where Floyd spent most of his life. 4 ex-police officers connected to Floyd's death have now been charged and arrested. Former officers J. Alexander King, Thomas Lane, and Tu Tao are charged with aiding and abetting murder. They made their first court appearances today. Former officer Derek Chauvin, who put his knee on George Floyd's neck, is now accused of second-degree murder, which carries a stiffer penalty than the charges he was already facing. Protesters had been demanding additional arrests. Demonstrations across the country last night were mostly peaceful, but there were some exceptions, including in New York City, where officers used their batons to physically move a large crowd of protesters. Some fell to the ground, and others were restrained. Police were also seen chasing some protesters as they left the area. In New Orleans, police used tear gas to disperse a crowd on a bridge that included small children.
They tear gassed everybody. We're coming back.
It was in stark contrast to the night before when officers took a knee with protesters in solidarity. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
If convicted of the new charges, the 4 officers connected to Floyd's death could be sentenced for up to 4 decades in prison. Meanwhile, in a rare public rebuke, President Trump's former defense secretary James Mattis denounced the president for threatening to use military troops to control protesters. In a scathing statement, he wrote, quote, "Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try. Instead, he tries to divide us." Here at home, two separate peaceful protests will be held to support the Black Lives Matter movement. One will be held from 4 to 6 p.m. at the ITC intersection. Another protest will be held at Adelup from 3 to 5 p.m. And you're urged not to forget, and I believe that's not out of loop, but at the Chief Kapua, don't forget to wear a mask to these events and practice social distancing. In your Banking 671 report, effective Monday, June 8th, all Community First Guam Federal Credit Union Members Service Center lobby, teller, and drive-through services will be open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That is Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, and closed on Saturday. Due to social distancing requirements, in-person loan officer services and administrative contacts are by appointment only. And again, the Guam Bankers Association is encouraging residents who are filing for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program to consider opting for direct deposit. You're urged to take the following steps. Open a deposit account with your preferred bank. Collect necessary account information. Be prepared to provide your account number as well as your bank's routing number. And visit Guam DOL's online portal, hireguam.com, to apply. That is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360. We're now going to try to head over to the CNMI and check in with our Tomas Menglonia. Hi, Tomas. Okay, so we're still having problems trying to connect with Tomas. We'll hopefully be able to get a hold of him a little bit later.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get a hold of anybody.
Well, let's cross our fingers.
Well, we can always keep talking about getting our butts whooped.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of old school discipline, our viewers might, they're putting in a lot of, shall I say, interesting memories.
Oh,
it's hilarious stuff. I mean, for those of you for those of us who actually grew up through that era, painful memories.
Yeah, my father was military, so everything, the way he disciplined us was very militant.
That's why he did the whole book thing, right?
Yeah, the face the wall, and then we got the spankings.
That's what he called low impact child abuse.
No,
it's low impact. It's
did you
not
guys
like bam, bam, bam.
I was a good, child.
Did you guys ever know anyone, or did you have to yourself, like the thing about move the bricks?
Didn't give my parents problems or anything. Nah, not me.
You ever heard that, Chris? And move the bricks. There's
move the bricks.
There's like a stack of hollow blocks on one side of the yard, and you have to like pick up every single one, restack it on the other side, and then move it back.
What'd you do, Jason?
I know. What did you? I thought you were a good little boy growing up.
I was a dumb kid. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I took no. You know what? I took.
Well, that's
it
the
was
time
your
to
mouth.
be dumb.
I wore my dad's Zori without asking, and my dad had the nice lightning bolt Zori, not the rubber one which you can buy in in a bag of like 15.
The bolt.
Yeah, the lightning bolt, the good stuff.
The good stuff.
Okay, who here has eaten soap?
Oh yes.
Okay, so I always thought that was a myth, but I remember the one time, I don't even remember what I said, and I don't even know if it was a real cuss word. It might have been like damn or heck. My mom, she didn't just wash my mouth out with soap. She was rough about it.
What kind of soap was it though? Because that too makes a difference.
It was Zest.
Ooh,
Zest is the one that's like blue and white and kind of marbled, right?
And it's very very lathery from what I remember.
Yeah, but she and then she was like scrubbing it with the bar soap, and there was soap like coming off in my teeth, and it was like, man, I was blowing bubbles for a week.
Okay, I will admit when I let a little
mouth.
I let a little curse word slip, I think when I was 12 years old, and I chowed down on a bar of Irish Spring, and that was not a fun afternoon.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's probably better than Zest. 7:07, we'll take a break. I'm going to figure out this phone thing here, and we'll come back with more of the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. It is Containing COVID. Good morning.
Locally roasted.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit FHB.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 Virtual Relay for Life Guam.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Calling all graduating seniors. Join us by showing your class pride in the celebration caravan you deserve through the island's major thoroughfares. KUAM and its partners want to recognize your accomplishments and help celebrate this pivotal moment in your lives. To participate, email promotions@KUAM.com and let's get this show on the road. Special thanks to ABC Stores Guam and The Dungeon.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care. Keep your family safe at home and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FD.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
One of these days.
Hey, good morning. 7:13, Friday. Yeah, again, there is that Black Lives Matter support action.
It's Chief Kapua, right?
There's
one at Chief Kapua.
Yeah, there's
one at
a couple.
ITC.
ITC intersection, peaceful demonstration. Oh, they're also hosting a DJ to help celebrate black entertainment in the form of positivity and peace.
At one of the peaceful protests today?
Yeah, at
Which
the
one?
ITC. I just got it from NOLA. Yeah, Music Equalizer. There's a little flyer they sent. Let's turn down the unnecessary noise and celebrate black entertainment. So that's today, BLM Friday.
And the memorial services are being held
as we speak.
Right, for George Floyd in Minneapolis.
Is that TV8?
No, I was watching CNN.
Okay, yeah. I see it. It's on over here, so. I caught a little bit of Reverend Al Sharpton. 7:15. Let's try going over the NMI now. Hopefully the 12 times the charm.
Hi, Tomas. Hey!
Oh, my God.
Yay, he's there.
Hallelujah.
Chris, I'm starting to think this is intentional.
Well, I don't want to say there's any bad vibes with Guam and NMI. But
oh, my gosh.
It is what it is, Tomas. All right, so with the very latest from the CNMI, Tomas Manglotnia.
Good morning, Breen Chris. Here's the latest. There were 3 more cases in the CNMI yesterday. The first that was announced, the governor's task force says that CHCC confirms that the one additional person yesterday initially announced in the morning is confirmed to have COVID-19. This first case announced yesterday morning is a 39-year-old female, asymptomatic, and is being safely monitored in isolation. The COVID-19 task force writes that the individual was identified through community-based testing and confirmed a positive at the CHCC laboratory on June 3rd. At this time, they write, this patient's exposure to the virus is unknown. CHCC and contact tracing teams are looking into the possibility of exposure through community spread of COVID-19. And the 2 other cases announced later in the afternoon yesterday, the 2 additional people have been confirmed to have COVID-19. The individuals were passengers of the May 30, 2020 United Airlines flight from Guam and originated from the U.S. mainland. They were tested and confirmed positive at CHCC laboratory on June 4th. The 2 individuals are females, one 15-year-old and one 56-year-old. They are asymptomatic and are being safely monitored in isolation as well. CHCC contact tracing teams are still investigating the source of infection for the person confirmed positive for COVID-19 yesterday, but have identified no links to previous infections for these later announcements. This brings the CNMI's total COVID-19 cases to 26 since March 28th. And in more COVID news from the CNMI, there was a special Senate session yesterday. Senate President Victor Holkog expressed some concerns with OPM and civil service with recent furloughs. These comments were made before the reappointment of Raymond Muñoz to serve as a member of the Civil Service Commission representing the 3rd Senatorial District. We were there. Take a listen to this clip.
I know that there are complaints, grievances been filed with OPM as far back as 5 to 5 years back. But through our short conversation, I am happy that out of the 44 complaint before the civil service, it has accomplished 38 being addressed in some. And the good part there is all this settlement has not reached any judicial review, and it's been closed. I hope it's closed. But as far as the issue of this furlough, like some of the members mentioned, I just want the civil service and OPM to work aggressively on how to address the some other concern when there is a complaint filed regarding this furlough issues. And if I may ask also to see the impact of these people that have filed grievances, the cost of, in terms of perhaps what dollar amount is involved, and what kind of settlement of these grievances being filed that are closed. If that is not possible, I would like to ask either both Civil Service and Commission and OPM to at least provide us with some report regarding this matter.
And some news from the NMI supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. Organizers write that they will be holding a peaceful roadside demonstration on Saipan today from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Beach Road at the AK Toyota intersection. Organizers write on Facebook that they're going to stand in solidarity with brothers and sisters across the world to raise awareness to the unlawful murders and injustices impacting innocent Black people in America. Organizers write that people should wear a mask and follow social distancing markings located on curbside and bring a sign. Water and refreshments will be available. And before we sign off here from the CNMI, we wanted to provide the latest numbers of COVID-19 in the CNMI. The cumulative number of confirmed cases now stands at 26, with 2 deaths and 16 recoveries. And right now we have the latest numbers from the community-based testing initiative. On Saipan, 5,960 people have been tested. On Tinian, 349 people are tested, and 376 people are tested on Rhoda. Bree and Chris, the governor, will be holding a press conference at 10:30 this morning, and we'll be sure to bring you the latest.
Wow. Is this the press conference through the radio, or how's this?
Yes, this is the press conference that's being held through the local radio station. We should also know that there was a document leaked last night allegedly showing that the DPS commissioner was receiving overtime pay during the pandemic and the furloughs. This document that was sent to KUAM has not been confirmed, though the press conference is usually held at 8 a.m. This morning. Just a few minutes ago, we were told it's moved to 10:30 now. And so this is something that, in speaking with other journalists on Saipan, it's definitely going to be asked about. Again, that document not confirmed, but of course raising many eyebrows from our viewers and those in the CNMI.
You said the Department of Public Safety Director?
Yes, that is the document that we got that shows that overtime pay, allegedly shows that overtime pay was signed off by the CNMI governor.
Wow. I mean, if it was, it could be other directors.
That's correct, and so we'll be asking that and, of course, raising those questions, and hopefully we get that confirmed or denied by the CNMI governor, who moved his 8 a.m. press briefing to now 10:30.
Well, maybe you should stop talking about it, because I feel like the more you talk about it, the more they're going to keep moving that press conference.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Yes, and again, this document was sent, to KUAM, and so I also know that it's being circulated widely on social media, and
right.
we hope to get the governor on that, and also on matters that have been developing with the casino as well, who just had a casino commission hearing yesterday on their license agreement with the casino commission. So there's lots of news amid COVID-19 as well, and we'll be sure to bring the latest.
Well, thank you so much, Tomas. Thank you again for the blueberry cream cheese rolls.
Delicious.
No problem. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, Tomas. Good luck. Be safe, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Wash your hands. All right. Let's keep it on the phones here. And from the Physicians Advisory Group, want to bring on back onto the show. It's been a little bit. Dr. Felix Cabrera. Good morning, Doc.
Hi, Doc.
Good morning, Bree. Good morning, Jason.
Yeah, it's been a while. How have you been?
I've been great. You guys?
Doing pretty good. We kind of missed you a little bit.
Yeah. We were talking. I was like, man, how's Dr. Cabrera? We haven't heard from him in a while.
I was like, yeah, he quit GRMC. He grew a beard, and he's living he just unplugged from everything. No, not really. You're still, of course, a member of the Physicians Advisory Group, advising the governor. And let's just catch up. We've had Dr. Ho on a couple times to talk about what happens in these meetings, but always curious, what is on your plate right now, Dr. Cabrera? What is it you're working on in terms of the COVID-19 response?
Oh, wow. I guess the better question is what's not on my plate.
Right.
Well, our plate. We all do this as a collective effort here, and our teamwork is amazing. And but right now I think there's two main things I think that is probably upfront. Is one is actually we're taking the time because we come from the school of thought where it's not necessarily what we know, but what we do about what we don't know. And how do we act and how do we make decisions based on that, and how do we find the truth and and the best information that we can get. And so part of that is a good rehash of what has been what we've gone through, especially over the past almost 3 months now, and decisions that were made early, and some things that may be still in effect and maybe were made on information that was very limited back maybe 1, 2, 3 months ago, and now has really evolved. And so we want to ensure that we update some of those policies and decisions, and if necessary, and make sure that that we don't just get stuck and we forget why things were done the way they were done when they should be updated. So I think that's the first part of what we've been trying to review and do. The second part is actually looking forward and what are the next steps here, and what are our next threats, so to speak, and how to mitigate that as well. So we're focusing on that now.
I did want to ask because I was thinking about it yesterday about PCOR 2 and then transition into PCOR 3, and I believe it said on the report there was that 28-day period. And so I think tomorrow would mark 28 days. Right. And so we haven't heard anything. There hasn't been a press conference in a while. But what are the discussions in moving us into PCOR 3 since we are reaching that 28th day?
Yes. And so those discussions are definitely ongoing, and they've continued to be ongoing since PCOR 1. And just to remind everyone that PCOR 1, again, was what we previously were in, the maximum restrictions. PCOR 2 was moderate restrictions, PCOR 3 minimum restrictions, and PCOR 4 no restrictions. Mm-hmm. So when you look at that, we've tried to define specifically what those restrictions mean within those PCOR states. And the main thing is that this is a moving target, and we're evolving. So again, going back to reviewing how we make decisions and whether or not we need to change some of those factors there. So that being said, as we all know, during the PCOR 2 process, the governor had lifted restrictions in a gradual process, and it wasn't just a flip the switch. And again, we've used the analogy before. It's a dimmer that's been slowly being brought up and brightening the room, so to speak. And so so that's the course of PCOR 2. So the next question is, so what marks the difference between PCOR 2 and PCOR 3? And so that's a loaded question because it involves several things. So not just the more reopening of several community activities, but also it's a psychological landmark and a milestone, I think, for the community to make that transition. So we need to ensure that it's meaningful, and that it's just not a number we throw in that, okay, now we're in PCOR 3, and okay, but then everything is still kind of status quo. But we want to ensure that that's defined well, and so part of that includes, I think, the heavy two items. That's part of PCOR 3 is one, schools and how they will be reopened and the status of that, and then also number 2 is leisure travel into Guam, and so more specifically tourism, and so those are the two I think key things that weigh in the PCOR 3 status, and so we're looking at that heavily right now. To go back to the 28-day period. So as we recall, there's the 4 main triggers to inform a decision to move to PCOR 2 to PCOR 3, right? So cases, hospitalizations, testing, and contact tracing. The 28 days was specifically for cases, and only was looking at cases. It doesn't look at the other parts there necessarily.
Right. So, Daco, just looking at the cases, right? Because it kind of seems like we're getting we haven't had the 11 in one day, but it's been like 1, 2, 1, 1. You know. So what do you make of that?
So we are actually so the short answer is that we're doing well in terms of meeting our set thresholds and being ensuring that we stay well below that. So we're achieving that as an island as a whole, and so that's great. We just to also remind what those thresholds are. So we even though we've been getting the smattering of, again, as you say, 1, 2, 3 cases or so a day, that really we set the theoretical threshold at 5 new cases per day. That seems to be a trend upward. And so 5 is really that now the red flags are up, and now we have to look even more closely and the context of those specific cases. So nickel and diamond, 1 or 2 cases, and whether or not what are the contacts specifically for that? Was there contact with travel? And I know that there are other people, and in particular some physicians that are heavily scrutinizing that. But and those are important questions. But we have to look at this in a bigger picture, and what does it actually mean? And so if we're doing okay on that, even with the 11 cases we had on that one day back on May 20th. We are using a 5-day rolling average, and when you do that, it actually the cases themselves have stayed well below 5. The second part is that you can't look at case numbers without also looking at the exact same time the test positivity rate, and again that's the number of tests that we do per day, and the number and then the positives that are a percent of those number of tests. And that we're shooting to stay below 3%, and we have achieved that over this 28-day period.
Right.
Again, using a 5-day rolling average, and so we're doing very well with that. So that's something to be very mindful of and be actually very proud of. I think overall for the island.
Doc, so when you say one of the thresholds is 5 positive tests a day, for how many days would we need to have the 5 positives for you guys to have your eyebrows raised?
Well, I think 1 day of that of rolling average that meets that threshold is already enough, because again that's 5 days of an average where it hits that, so that's already a red flag. And then again, then the next question is, okay, what do you do with that red flag? Well, the one thing is to reassess is our efforts adequate. So then you look at the other 4 parts of the triggers and saying, well, how's our hospitalization? What's our census like? Is the testing overall? If there's a big surge that happens, because it looks like there might be, if we're above 5, are we capable? What's our stockpile, so to speak? And then how's our contact tracing doing overall in terms of personnel and effectiveness?
Mm-hmm.
So you look at all of that, and if any of those start looking shady as well, then comes the question is, do we revert back? Do we go backwards? Do we go from PCOR 2 back to PCOR 1?
Sounds pretty complicated, Doc, for us to go back.
It is.
Right.
It is. It's extremely complicated, but it has to be a very short reason for us to move backwards.
Right.
And so right now we're not seeing that. I want to emphasize that. But because the question was asked, that's what we would be looking at if we were to start breaking those thresholds.
Right. But so we are looking at that, right? Because like I said, the 28 days that's gonna it comes tomorrow, and so in terms of those 4 main triggers that would prompt us or help us in determining whether or not we're going to be moving into the next PCOR level. You mentioned it, cases. We haven't seen that daily spike of cases. Hospitalization, according to the SIT report, it's been practically 0 almost every day. I think there's only 1 person right now at GMH in isolation. Testing, we've certainly increased that. We saw over 200 yesterday, and I haven't seen the SIT report today because it doesn't come out till 11. And contact tracing. We have the Emoca app that I think it's online now to help with contact tracing. So having said all of that, have we met these 4 main triggers for us to go into PCOR 3 if an announcement is, let's say, made today?
So there is one key part here in the triggers that we have to look at, and that's actually under the testing part.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the difference between what's listed from the PCOR 1 to PCOR 2 and the PCOR 2 to PCOR 3 is in the testing. There's an additional statement there that says, and the availability and affordability of rapid and reliable testing of travelers as it relates to quarantine requirements.
Okay.
So that's the crux, I think, right there also in ensuring that that's really well defined in terms of ability to do it, and whether or not it continues to make sense to do it, and in what capacity. So that is actually the heavy discussion right now amongst the physician advisory group with public health and with the governor, and of course including the state surgeon itself. That we're throwing around a lot, and that was a heavy part of the discussion in last night's physician advisory group meeting.
So there was another meeting last night aside from the one
yes.
that okay, and so I know when we had spoke with Dr. Hoa day before yesterday, after one of the meetings that was held, I think it was Tuesday night, and then there was a emergency meeting. He said over the weekend.
An emergency meeting on Sunday, yes.
Right, and he was mentioning that there may be a change in the quarantine protocols again, in that returning Guam residents that are coming off of international flights might be required to have a PCR test within a week of arrival. In order to, and it must be negative, in order to be allowed, in order for them to be allowed home quarantine.
Yes.
And that's a change from.
Well, I want to be clear that that's a discussion point as opposed to a decision point.
Okay.
And so just to be extremely clear, and I think we've talked about that also, and that we can't mistake discussions for final decisions.
Okay.
And so it was a heavy part of the discussion, and we continue to do that. And just I don't want to dive too much into what was discussed last night, because there's still decisions to be made. But we've come pretty close to a final recommendation, at least from the physician advisory group.
So
and just to be clear, like this was in partnership with public health. So so the representatives were there, including Linda DeNorsi, at the meeting where we discussed this heavily.
So Doc,
about that PCR test for returning Guam residents.
Specifically about international flights and domestic flights coming.
Yeah, because we had a comment. Someone said, "Why are we going to make the requirements more strict for international flights when it's actually the U.S. that's seeing more of a surge?"
Well, that's a very good viewpoint, but we have to be very clear about what the objective data about that actually tells us. Mm-hmm. And so last night was a exercise in ensuring that we did use objective information to discuss that, because we can make that sense based on what media discussions and everything, but when we actually look at what the best information we have and what's being published, what does that actually mean? Mm-hmm. So we know that the upcoming in short time order that there's going to be resumption of international flights to Guam, mm-hmm. and in certain cases it may pose an increased risk of introducing novel or new virus to Guam. So that's the problem, first of all, right, that we're facing. So a key insight that we have is that international flights with travelers originating in areas with COVID-19, where cases are doubling at a fast rate, are likely the places that are highest risk of source for virus coming into the island. So how do we look at that objectively? And so because you can't say that necessarily that Philippines is equivalent to South Korea, or is it equivalent to Japan or Taiwan, for example. And so we have to be sure that we're objective about that, and that this is not, and that it's not specific to our feelings or a general feel for what each of these nations are risk assessment, that it has to be based on something more factual. So, mm-hmm. so we're instituting, what we believe is going to be a pretty thorough, targeted policy and strong recommendations, to mitigate these risks in order for optimal harm reduction. Mm-hmm. And so
optimal harm reduction.
Yes, sir. And so that's all we do, right? That's all medicine is, right? Yeah. It's really, we shoot for optimal harm reduction. Mm-hmm. And hopefully people are happy with that.
So, Doc, as of now, there's no recommendation from the Physicians Advisory Group to move the island back to PCOR 3.
To go to PCOR 3, not at this
to go to PCOR 3, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the government has said that publicly that that she wants to continue to monitor and continue to ensure that we have really good plans in place before making such a declaration.
Do you think this, influx of international flights is a kind of like, let's take a wait and see approach? Because, we're tracking like 800, 900 people are going to be coming into Guam.
Well, I think he said 1,000, Dr. Hoa.
Right.
Yeah, I think but then I think what's not clear is how many of them are actually going to be disembarking on Guam.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's they may just be transiting on their way to Honolulu or, stateside, what have you.
Yeah.
But, we have to remember that, a lot of these persons traveling are Guam residents. They're our own people, and we want to get them home, and we want to get them home safely for them and for everyone else on Guam.
Yeah.
And so how do we do that in a responsible way is the key question. So the part about the testing and the testing pre-boarding, I'll go ahead and just talk and mention this because that's the key part, and that's the part that the travelers are going to be probably the most interested in, because that's going to be a rate limiting step on them getting on the plane to begin with. So understanding what are we truly asking for and trying to gain from requiring a test from a foreign, like a foreign area. And what does that actually mean, and what goals are we trying to achieve? And so if our goal is purely to try and protect Guam from reducing the risk of introducing new virus to Guam, then we have to be very specific. Does pre-testing really achieve that? Pre-testing for testing prior to travel really achieve that? And we all know how complicated testing is, and it gets even more complicated when you start, introducing different standards from different countries.
Yeah.
Some better than the U.S., some less than the U.S. And so it makes it, even muddier. And how do you enforce that, across the way? And also, what actual teeth do we have in requiring a test, from somebody originating in a international setting? That technically the governor can't mandate them from that side to in terms of boarding the plane, but the airlines can. But that's going to be heavily dependent on their compliance with Guam's recommendations. But so there's going to be we're looking at that. We're looking at what's called hotspot areas and how we're defining that. And so that comes back to the question about is the U.S. a hotspot versus other areas, right? And then how does international differ from domestic? And so let's look at what domestic is, and then let's see what other areas are compared to domestically. And I can just say right now that what we're trying to do is define as hotspots are areas where we're seeing new cases double less than every 30 days. So the lower the number, or in other words, the quicker it takes to double the number of cases you have, the more the disease is spreading. And that's really the key risk of a traveler being, having been infected and bringing it to Guam. Because if you just look at the total case count, that doesn't say anything, because those case counts go back from weeks to months ago, and that's not active disease. But when you talk about case doubling rate, then you're talking about active disease in all likelihood, the very vast majority of it. And so that is a good corollary for what the risk is of a traveler coming in. And so that's what we're looking at more closely, and what and how that's defined. And we're using different sources to help us determine that. And so these are from reputable sources, WHO, Johns Hopkins University, their data area, and then having that and making a list that can be referenced in terms of countries or areas of origin, and where they fit in, if they're defined as a hotspot versus not, and how that might change things.
I think go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that the key emphasis here, and I think that there's no argument about this at this point with amongst everybody here, is that the safety net and the sure way, more sure than anything else, of mitigating the risk of introducing new virus to Guam is the full 14-day quarantine process.
Yeah.
And so I can't emphasize that enough.
And I think what also has to be clear is that this 14-day quarantine if you are even allowed home quarantine, I mean, it's mandatory. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter where you come from or when you arrive. I mean, you have to do the quarantine.
Yes. So that's the part that's not at this point any part of the debate, that everybody will undergo a 14-day quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
What's the discussion is where, and is it going to be done at a government of Guam facility or equivalent, or is it going to be at home or rental lodging? And so what are the criteria that will make you eligible to go to one of those alternate sites? And then just keep in mind that it is more expensive to quarantine persons in government facilities,
right,
but it takes a lot more personnel to quarantine people at home.
It's kind of a trade-off, Doc. And let's just
the
say,
monitoring.
Right, on the monitoring, are you confident, and this isn't a knock on public health, but just the process of monitoring people, especially if we're going to start letting residents quarantine at home, are you are you confident that we can keep track of these people?
So the short answer is yes, and that's because and it's not just with public health, is that there's a fair amount of resources that are being looked at and in terms of recruiting and into assist in these different parts of this, because this is we have to remember that quarantine enforcement is a spin-off of contact tracing, and it utilizes similar resources. And we want those who are really good at contact tracing to stay contact tracing and not be pulled away to do quarantine detail and to check-ins. That somebody that there are groups that could be trained to do specifically that, and then have different parts where if you're checking in on somebody on quarantine and if they're showing symptoms or if there's something like that, then how do you bump that up and how do you move through, and then and going through that process. So there's there's different sources to augment this public health program. So that includes other entities like UOG or GCC in terms of students. There may be new jobs that are going to be created for these positions as well, and because in all likelihood this is going to be something that that's going to be long term or medium term, and so we have to think about this in not just these 1,600 passengers coming in over the next couple of weeks. Again, not all of them necessarily terminating on Guam,
right?
But but moving forward, and again, all this discussion is about non-leisure travel. So these are, again, so this is not tourism we're talking about. We're talking specifically about returning Guam residents or non-residents that are here for likely essential purposes, and so we have to be clear about that. And so how do we ensure the safety? And everything I'm saying right now is subject to change once we start talking about leisure travel into Guam, and how do we address that, and where does testing come into play, if it does, in post arrival, and so these are you can already see that I'm just scraping the iceberg here, right, of giving you guys snowflakes of what the discussions are.
Man, you have a gift with the metaphors.
I know. We miss
scraping the iceberg and giving you snowflakes. Can we get shaved ice instead?
Yeah, I'm just giving you ice sticky here, and so. And so that's all you're getting, in terms of what the deep conversations are, and that we're really taking this seriously, because a lot rides on this, and in doing this responsibly. And we have to also understand that we are at the forefront of a lot of areas that are going to look at Guam as examples. And so in a lot of ways, Hawaii looked at Guam as examples very early on, back in March. And so we have to be very cognizant of that as well, that we have not just a local responsibility or regional, that we may even have a global responsibility in how we do this, because we could be setting very likely a good example of how to effectively do this. And then also right now the discussion is also to how do we assess if what we're doing actually works well, and if it's meaningful, and if the resources being used adequately. So it's really really getting more complicated, and it's way more in government that I ever thought I'd ever be in my whole lifetime. And, the joke now is that, what are you still doing at Adelaide? Well, it seems like everything in government needs a medical opinion now. So that's what the surgeon cell is a big part of, and it's also still readiness, because we still want to be ready for something that, because we don't want to be blindsided if we all of a sudden hit a wave that we just did not expect, and so there's still the readiness aspect of that.
Right.
Okay. Do you know if there's going to be a press conference today?
I thought they were my understanding is they were considering it, but it looks like there may not be. So don't quote me on that specifically, and we'll just
that's good. I got Aaron's
communication from the Adeloops.
Can you just say we got Aaron's?
Yeah. I was wondering, because I was really looking at that PCOR 3 and that 28 days, but if we don't have to worry about
when
that.
When she says looking at it, she means she was fixated on it.
Hey, I keep track of that stuff.
And when I hear the words 28 days later, all I can think about is the zombie movies.
Yeah, but this fortunately is going to be in a good sense. But I know agree that you love the SIT reports. I love them too. I think they're great. Stephanie from the CDC, she's the one that creates that for Guam, and she's locally, she's located here locally, and she does an amazing job of putting it together. And so she has been helpful in providing me data. But I'll be honest, for a long time I was doing a lot of what we were projections and modeling based on the JIC report numbers. And only the JIC report numbers, because they were reliable. But as things evolve and as we requested more info, there's been some transitions, and it's gotten to a point where that there's more detail that actually looking at the SIT report really helps that be a bit more detailed. But I do also always want to throw out a caution that if it's always a little bit of information can be dangerous, in that if you're not fully looking at what the ramifications of the information you're getting, that dangerous assumptions can be made. And so I just always want to put that out there. But I think everybody's we've all become pretty well versed in a lot of these data and what they mean. So I think that's important. And I think the last part I just wanted to say was to make sure I mention is that I want to ensure that the public really does their part in respecting public health efforts in terms of identifying these the positives that come through and protecting their identity. And I can't emphasize that enough. And not just protecting their identity, but their families and their associates. Because people seem to want a lot of information about these positive cases. But what they're not appreciating is how just a little bit of information can identify these persons very easily.
Yeah. Like you mean somebody who came from Mexico?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So we saw that detail there.
Yeah, and so those are things, right, that are maybe unique. So that's why the joke is like these password questions like your mother's maiden name and what street did you live in. Like anybody can guess my password if they if they went through those questions, because we're a small enough island, and people know enough. So we have to be very respectful of that. So if people are starting to demand that information, remember that you're demanding rights and medical rights of certain people, of our neighbors and our fellow Guamanians. You're denying them that right to privacy, and so please be very cognizant of that and have faith, because the other thing is that we don't want to compromise this public health of the public's confidence in public health, and that we need to do what we can to ensure that they can trust discussions with them, because if all of a sudden public health's calling because of a contact tracing, and if they see it's public health, we don't want the public to just not answer the phone or not speak to them. And so that trust is extremely important for contact tracing. And again, it comes back to those 4 main data criteria that we're looking at. So we compromise the trust in contact tracing, we compromise our ability to fight COVID. And so that's just my last plea.
Right. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Doc.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll see you. Wash your hands. Let's do it again next week.
Yeah. Also, wash your feet, because those are the hands of your legs.
The hands of our legs.
That's from Trevor Noah.
That's a good one. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna use that.
Stay safe.
That's like optimal health. What?
Optimal health. What was that? Optimal health.
Optimal harm reduction.
Optimal harm reduction. And
start using that.
So you're the guy. We get
harm
optimal harm reduction, and feet are the hands of your legs. So it's kind of running the gamut there, Doc. Appreciate it.
And I feed you snowflakes. There you go.
Oh. Take care.
Okay, that's
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
7:53. Let's keep it on the phones here and get Dr. Mary Okada from the Guam Community College. Of course, she's the president. And I wanted to bring her on. Sorry for the delay. You know, Dr. Cabrera tends to go a little long.
No worries. Thank you.
Of course. So me and Bree wanted to bring you on, obviously, because you guys have stood up the new Department of Labor Pandemic Unemployment Assistance and
Processing Center.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you could just walk us through. It's not open yet. Or is it
So
open yet?
GCC has provided the facility, but the operational side of it is actually a GDOL function.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So just tell us a little bit about what went into you guys standing up this center, and it was a pretty rapid response, Mary.
Yeah, so basically we reached out to GDOL, and the director and I got together to determine if the facility that GCC had available would meet their needs. And so we took a tour of what was formerly Building 100, and we identified 10 classrooms that would be utilized for the processing center, in addition to 2 areas, the former student lounge, and then we had a workout area on the second floor that were used or set up to be used for the actual call center. So in the call center, we set up 12 telephone lines for the first floor and additional 12 telephone lines for the second floor. And we met with DPW and went through it to make sure that the tables and chairs that were needed were socially distanced or meet the social distance requirements. And so we did that. And then we had our IT guys, our MIS guys, come in. We identified about 80 computers that were in various labs on campus, and we deployed them into the processing center. So in addition to the telephone lines on the first and second floor, so there's 24 laptops or 24 computers to support the call center. And then in the classroom, we also set up the tables and chairs and computers that are connected to the GCC network so that they can have access to the GDOL processing site. So, and then we made coordination with Xerox. Xerox was able to provide us with 10 Xerox machines that were all networked to these computers so that they can be used to scan the documents that are necessary that they will retrieve. So that's basically what we did. It was just setting up the facility so that there's a location that GDOL can use for walk-in appointments. For appointments only. And so, that's basically our role, is providing the facility so that, they can, because, it was we weren't sure what time or when they were going to be able to roll this out, but we didn't want to use locating a facility as something that would deviate from the main purpose that they wanted to stand up, which was actually the processing component.
Has GDOL indicated when they would be ready to go in there and start running things?
So we do know that they are on campus. They have been on campus for this week. They've been doing some training, but as to when they'll open their doors for the actual first appointment, I have not confirmed that. I hope to get that confirmation sometime later today.
Okay, and is it going to be stood up there for the 18 months that's been indicated on some of these documents that I've seen?
No, ma'am. So what's basically the college is providing the facility through July 31st because we anticipate that at some point we're going to be able to use that facility to conduct classes for post-secondary education. So like I said, because it was a facility that was available and probably easier to put together and stand up based on the resources that the college had, the tables, the chairs, the computers, right. It would have been easier for us to do that because we had the existing resources for the facility side. But it is till July 31st, so that gives the college a little bit of time to reprogram it back into classroom setting.
Mary, so we're anticipating, I mean, a huge influx of traffic to the GCC campus when they finally get this DOL processing center up and running. Is GCC going to be involved with maybe directing or, you know, in other ways helping out with, because there's going to be a ton of people?
Yeah, so basically GDOL has identified, I believe they are using folks from the, because we met with Chief Ignacio, so folks from the police department and potentially the National Guard to help facilitate the flow of the traffic. It is a by appointment only facility, so they are set up to do temperature monitoring into the campus. The college personnel will not necessarily be are not assigned to do that work, except for any IT support that will be needed by our MIS folks.
I heard there was a training yesterday.
They have been conducting training in that facility since all week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's move on to how GCC is preparing for reopening. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So the college has been, or we have a draft document of the different guidelines that we will be using to reopen the campus.
Mm-hmm.
I did receive the first draft of it last night. It's about 90 pages long that has it actually has photos of different classrooms, different kinds of classrooms and labs that we have on campus, identifying how social distancing is going to work for certain types of trade classes and lectures, and then we have already procured, we call them sneeze guards. They are the plexiglass. We have procured and have installed already the plexiglass in certain areas of the campus. So, for example, like the admissions and registration office has one. We have a mobile one that can be used for the test center, and then we have some in the learning resource center as well. And then in various offices on campus that have direct contact with the public or students, including accounts receivable, financial aid, and of course our cashier. So we've already procured those. Those are already in place. We've also started to identify, and again, in the plan, we do follow the CDC guidelines. This plan will be presented to public health for their approval, and hopefully we'll be able to start some courses in the fall.
Nice.
We also have a project where, or one of the concepts we have is that if we have a classroom, for example, that we normally fit 20 students, we are looking at a possibility of using 2 classrooms with technology capabilities so that we can have 10 students in one, 10 students in the other. We call them our twin classrooms, so that we have one faculty member with students in both classrooms. So
Nice.
those are different ideas that we're using.
Mary, let me cut in here real quick. We're KUAM-FM, Agotnia, Guam. Again, it's the KUAM News takeover of Guam's favorite I-94. We call it Containing COVID, and it's all proudly brought to you by Coast 360, the Bank of Guam, IT&E, Ambrose Inc., and Calvo Enterprises. On the line now, we have the president of the Guam Community College, Dr. Mary Okada, and she's talking about how GCC is anticipating resuming classes in the fall, and we're currently discussing some of the mitigation measures to prevent the risk and spread of COVID-19 that the campus is instituting. And also, Mary, we heard that you had a 19th consecutive clean audit.
Yes, and that's something that the college is very proud of.
Hey, well,
Thank you.
You should do like a seminar or something.
Right.
Well, we really, we've had opportunities to improve our systems throughout the years. And one of the things I will say is that in the efforts for us to take advantage of the technologies available, the college has completely moved to the cloud. And so we did a large investment on that, moving the cloud, because of the, whenever we have power interruptions or typhoons or anything of the sort, it was getting very difficult for us to turn off the system that we had with all the servers and then get it activated back up. So having it in the cloud makes us have accessibility to the information, the data that we need. Over the years, we've continuously trained our employees on the different practices associated with procurement, and so that we remain in compliance with all the federal rules and regulations associated with procuring goods and services for the government of Guam or for the college. And so we've continuously done training on that. And, we had a really great Vice President of Finance, Carmen Santos, who unexpectedly passed away about a month ago. And she had been with the college for about 12 years, and she really was instrumental in maintaining our low-risk status for the college, keeping in mind fiscal discipline, stability, and, of course, accountability and transparency. So it's something that we've been very proud of for many years, and we will continue to uphold that status to the, we want to uphold that status, of course.
Mary, I know that you're
forward.
anticipating resuming the classes in the fall. What are you seeing from the student population, and what ways have you guys been able to keep in touch with the people who go to GCC?
So at the right when we went into what you call lockdown, or when the campus was closed, we immediately moved as many classes as we could to online learning. Of course, there are some courses like automotive, electronics. There are some courses that are not necessarily something you can just move online, and so there is going to be. We do have to complete some of those students because those courses are not finished yet. There have been a lot of interaction between students about online learning. We're hoping to provide some training to students, and we're also doing a survey to identify if students have certain limitations in terms of online. So do they not have computers at home, or do they not have connectivity at home? And so we're hoping to help facilitate that, because the college, although we did disperse the CARES Act Part 1 funding, there is a CARES Act Part 2 funding that students may be eligible to support, or to additionally support technology needs for the continuation of online classes. So we're working through that process now. One idea that we have is to purchase computers that students can actually loan or borrow from the college so that they can continue their courses online. And so we'll gradually continue to move more courses online, but we are hoping for some continue to do face-to-face for some students, because online is not something that everybody wants to do,
right?
And it takes time to migrate to it. So we want to make sure that the students that want to come to the college that are, not too favorable using the online platform, that we're able to provide them an alternative with face-to-face.
What about the culinary program? That's one of the classes. I don't know if you could put that on a Zoom.
Well, you can do certain courses on it. I mean, you can show the preparation side of it, but it's very difficult because you got to do the taste test, right?
Right.
So, and normally we have celebrities like yourselves that come into the campus on the day that they're taking their exams or their showcase, and so the taste test is something that you can't do online. But of course, there is an opportunity for us to provide those, electronically on the process, just not the
But Mary, online isn't the same thing. So if you did need someone to come in and do that, because it's just really not the same. I would be willing to assume that risk.
Okay, assuming we get the clearance.
Do it for my island, just the kind of guy I am.
Yes, thank you so much.
Right on, Mary. So,
Mary, I wanted to get just some additional information and some clarification on what you mentioned earlier regarding the 90-page plan that you received. And I just wanted to know if this was a plan from your team, or if this was a plan from the Physicians Advisory Group or Public Health.
So this is a plan that has, this is the initial draft plan right now. It's just draft. I just received it last night. It's the initial plan compiled by the GCC team that will eventually be reviewed and approved. There is a lot of reference to the CDC guidelines, and like I said, there's a lot of pictures associated with the different types of classrooms we have and how we would be able to reconfigure the classroom so that social distancing remains in effect. So it's a document that has been compiled by the GCC team.
Mm-hmm. And so how soon are you, is there like a deadline for you that you'd like to see this plan approved so that you guys can begin implementing what's in it?
So it is my hope that, so there's several things that we could have going through the summer if we were given some leeway in terms of, or the authorization to get some programs up.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a couple of boot camps that we'd like to get started through the summer. So this, like I said, this is the first draft of it. We're hoping that we would get closest to a final product maybe in the next week or so.
Mm-hmm.
The sooner the better, so that we can submit it for approval. This document really is going to be the guideline that we provide to all the employees at the college so that they can review what to do in the event of certain issues. How do we safeguard our students? How do we safeguard our employees? What do we provide to them to ensure that they have the PPEs, if you will, on, to be comfortable that the college is a safe environment even through this pandemic.
I was just curious, we had spoken with John Fernandez earlier this week regarding the, I think it was $43 million that they received from USDOL, and a portion of the grant funding was also going to the governor's office for them to use for educational purposes. Is GCC going to be, a recipient of any of those funds?
So there is an effort for both higher education institutions in conjunction with the Guam Department of Education to receive some of those funds. We are still working through obtaining some information to be provided to the Lieutenant Governor's office. So as I mentioned earlier, the college's intent is to identify whether or not we can provide laptops to students so that they can use for their online education. And so we're hoping that the funding available can help support the connectivity side, whether it be, because right now the GCC students are charged the technology fee and they access through the GCC network. But if students are going to continue to do online, if they can't come to the campus, then they need some type of connectivity. So we're hoping that there's going to be some funding to support that connectivity or to support the college in terms of providing the connectivity to the student.
Right.
Because there's not enough money in MyCare's funding to do both connectivity and the equipment.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, Mary. Well, thanks. And as we get closer to the starting of classes, if there's anything you want to come on and discuss GCC wise, shoot us a text or John have John get a hold of us and we'll put you on.
Sure. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to provide some information on the college.
And just to clarify, the offer still stands. If you need to send someone in to absorb the risk of tasting the food at the Culinary Academy, either we do that, me and you, or I could just go ahead and, with your blessing, contact the chef.
All right, not a problem. We'll keep you in mind. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Mary. Wash your hands.
Have a great day.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, 8:12. Hey, we're going to take a break, come back and do our anthems and do the news. The day's dive into the COVID-19 headlines. Of course, that was Dr. Mary Okada from...
She's done a lot over at GCC,
right,
especially with the LEED certified buildings. That campus is beautiful.
Yeah. 19 consecutive years of clean audits.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when she was talking about the procurement, I didn't have a space to take my little jab, but part of the reason why their procurement is probably so spot on is they have Attorney John Brown, who teaches the procurement class there. So I wonder if any procurement they have, they just like, hey, Attorney Brown, can you just go ahead and look this over real quick, just make sure it's all right?
Yeah, but she's doing a wonderful job over there.
Good job.
And one thing that you've brought up in the past, Bree, is it's kind of like I shouldn't even say little known fact. I mean, it's pretty widely known about Mary's extensive collection of shoes. You've interviewed her on that. I mean,
No, I haven't.
She's very
I've
fashion
seen-
forward.
I think somebody else has.
Yeah, but she has a massive collection of very expensive footwear, as I understand it.
All right, Jay.
Yeah.
Thanks
Just
for that.
thought I'd throw that in. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll ask her next time. We'll
What
interview
size
her
are
on
you,
her.
Can I have my own segment called like Out of Right Field? Or
Yeah. Right. 8:13. That's Jason Solis, guys. So we're going to take a break, do news, and come back. It is Friday. Friday, Biba Business.
Can you guess what?
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
Be healthy. Be informed with IT&D.
Calling all graduating seniors. Join us by showing your class pride in the celebration caravan you deserve through the island's major thoroughfares. KUAM and its partners want to recognize your accomplishments and help celebrate this pivotal moment in your lives. To participate, email promotions@kuam.com and let's get this show on the road. Special thanks to ABC Stores Guam and The Dungeon.
Vanogita moru purita nonda kantai mantuna para y honra, para y gloria, viva y islasen para y honra, para y gloria, viva y islasen para todo y tempo y paz para ita dan gini langit na bendición contra y peligro na fansafuham Deus protegis langwong contra y peligro na fansafuham Deus protegis langwong.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care, keep your family safe at home, and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
Hey everybody, Bree's doing her mid-show wipe down. This is like halftime for her. Look at her going in, wiping. Yep. Anything else? You want me to get the water blaster? Fill it with Lysol? Actually, there's no Lysol on Guam.
Are you done?
I'm done. Good morning. Hey, it's 8:20.
So, have you guys? There have been traced like spot occurrences. Like there have been sightings. I've even bought some like legit. I can't say legit. Like hand sanitizer. We picked up some. We went to Payless. What was that? Like last week. We got like the little tiny ones. I mean, there are many different brands out there, but people have been saying, like the Purell and like the what's the other one?
No, I'll see it, dude, on social media. People will put like they have Lysol at Payless in Manilao.
Yeah, and then 5 minutes later, because everybody sees it.
But
it has been coming back though.
We're actually on this one. I don't know what it is. We're not sponsored by these guys or anything, but yeah,
we're on this.
I don't know. I feel like Guam EPA is going to seize that or something.
No, but there have been.
For me, I think it's just a psychological thing.
Right,
like it says disinfectant. Okay, I'm going to get it. I'm going to use it.
I mean, it could have like aerosolized urine in there, and as long as it said disinfectant, Bria would be like, "Oh yeah."
No.
She like spraying it and then walking into it like it's perfume. All right. Good morning on you.
Oh boy.
There's so many ways to catch the show right here on the radio. Of course, 93.9, Guam's favorite. There's an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10. We're also streaming on the KUAM News app and KUAM.com and on KUAM TV 11. Good morning to our TV audience. We always throw the last couple hours of the show on for you guys that's containing COVID. And last but not least, on the Edward R. Murrow Award-winning social media networks of KUAM, good morning to our Facebook Live viewers. And as always, let's do a dive into the day's COVID-19 headlines with the very latest from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Matanani.
Alpha good morning, everyone. The number of confirmed COVID cases on Guam remains at 179. A total of 147 samples ran through Public Health's lab Thursday, 0 turning up positive. As reported, though, more information was released on the recent 2 positive cases, according to Public Health Situation Report. Both are men, one between the ages of 40 to 49, the other between 70 to 79. One of the new cases was identified through community testing and did not report contact to a confirmed case. The other recently traveled and was identified while staying in a government quarantine facility. This case tested positive through PCR testing at the hospital. GMH. No information was provided as to whether the 2 new cases were symptomatic. Additionally, one of the new positive cases is currently in isolation at the Guam Memorial Hospital. The SIT report does not provide specific information about the positive cases other than one is homeless, a non-resident, and had recent travel to Mexico. Again, the total number of COVID cases on Guam is 179. Free community testing continues today. Drive-through and walk-through testing is being conducted at the Sinahanya Mayor's Office from 9 a.m. to 12 noon on Monday. Testing will be done at Public Health Central Center in Barrigada. This is also free and open to Palau residents. As a reminder, you do not need to have symptoms to get tested. Just bring an ID. Families affected by COVID will be able to receive USDA Families to Farmers food boxes and disaster household distribution food commodity bags next week at several locations on June 9th and June 11th. Recipients will get 1 bag of food and 1 Farmers to Families food box of fresh fruits or vegetables. A total of 5,000 bags of commodities will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. Distribution may end early if all available resources are distributed prior to 10 a.m. On Tuesday, June 9th, distribution will be held at Mount Lamlam and Agate and the Dededo Farmers Market. Then on Thursday, June 11th, distribution will be held at the Tidson Upper Baseball Field in Jotnia at the St. Francis Church. The USS Theodore Roosevelt returned to Guam unannounced Wednesday to pick up some sailors it left behind, and just as quickly as it sailed in, it's now headed back out to sea. Nestor Lecanto reports.
By GTA, we start with you.
Governor Leon Guerrero and local hotel officials were among the dignitaries invited to today's send-off. The Teddy Roosevelt last left Guam on May 21st after spending more than 2 months in port here to address a coronavirus outbreak on board. A spokesman for Joint Region Marianas confirms that it returned to pick up remaining crew members that were left behind but who now meet return-to-work criteria. The Navy says any sailors who still don't meet the criteria and require additional time ashore to recover will remain in isolation on Naval Base Guam. They will continue to receive medical care by military medical representatives. Once recovered, transportation will be coordinated to move the sailors on board the Roosevelt or to their final duty station once the TR departs the area on mission. Previously, there was an overflow of hundreds of sailors who were quarantined at local hotels while the Navy completed 100% coronavirus testing. The Navy adds that while the ship was away for about 2 weeks, its Air Wing 11 completed carrier qualifications. We asked if any of the crew were granted shore leave while here. The Navy's response was that the ship is in a fully operational status in support of tasking in the Indo-Pacific.
Brought to you.
PPE for Guam and GMH will hold another mask repair day tomorrow. Guam Memorial Hospital has over 7,000 N95 masks that, due to the age of them, needed their elastic bands replaced. Volunteers are needed to help with repairs to more than 5,000 masks. The masks, which come from the U.S. Strategic National Stockpile, have been in storage for years. During that time, the elastic band holding the mask to the face is disintegrated, though the mask itself is in good condition. Tomorrow's mask day repair is from 8 a.m. to 3:30 in the afternoon. You can sign up for a shift by going to tinyurl.com/GMA masks. Volunteers will meet in the 4th floor education room at the hospital to ensure the safety of all and maintain sterile processes. Volunteers will be placed in 5-person teams and required to maintain social distancing and practice additional safety measures. No sewing experience is required, and all materials and instructions will be provided. Again, if you'd like to volunteer, please email tinyurl.com/GMH masks. Police Officer Stephen Tapasnia's petition to force the government of Guam to pay double pay to frontliners has been denied by Superior Court Judge Anita Sokola. According to the decision, Tapasnia failed to demonstrate that the police department was closed and further failed to allege that other GPD employees were on excused leave status. Court documents state that by rule, Tapasnia is only eligible for double pay or compensatory leave for hours he works, while the other employees are on excused leave. Deputy Attorney General James Canto honed in on this specific portion of the Department of Administration's rule on state of emergency double pay during arguments last week. Ultimately, the court agreed. Topasnia's attorney, Tom Fisher, tells KUAM, quote, "We are looking at taking the matter to the Supreme Court. We feel the facts are on our side, the law is on our side, and principles of decency as well. We expect to ultimately prevail." The Attorney General's office, in the meantime, issued a statement stating at the start of this case, we said that the court would be bound by the rules. In the decision, the court raised the same issues identified in our legal opinion and came to the same conclusion. The rule, as written, requires a facility to be closed and an essential employee to remain on duty while other employees are on excused leave in order to qualify for double pay or compensatory time off. But being right does not always mean winning. We have consistently pointed out the inequity that would result from following the rules. Officer Topasnia has the right to appeal the court's decision to the Supreme Court. However, we do not expect the result will be different because neither our office nor the courts have the ability to rewrite our laws. Litigation cannot serve as a substitute for legislation. That power rests solely with our legislature. Port Authority General Manager Rory Respicio confirms an internal investigation will be conducted after a port police officer was arrested for sexual assault. 49-year-old Frank Coe Jane St. Nicholas, who is also a local traditional healer, was arrested after 3 victims came forward alleging he had sexually assaulted them. St. Nicholas was charged with 2 counts each of 3rd and 4th degree criminal sexual conduct. According to court documents, a 23-year-old victim was seeking Chamorro spiritual services from St. Nicholas in January at his Jigo home. St. Nicholas was massaging the victim and then allegedly raped her. He then allegedly told her, quote, "This is good. The spirits would want this." Police continue to investigate similar allegations stretching back to 2017. In a statement, Respicio said he has ordered an internal investigation to address the administrative portion of this matter. This will be separate from the criminal investigation by GPD. He declined releasing further details because the matter is now under investigation. The Democratic Party of Guam will hold a special election and caucus drive-through voting tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Adelup Breezeway. The special election will be to vote for the party's state chair, and the caucus will elect 7 at-large delegates for the upcoming 2020 Democratic National Convention to be held on August 17th through the 20th in Wisconsin. Guam will send a total of 13 delegates to the convention. The delegation will include the party chair, party vice chair, national committeeman, and national committee woman, Governor Lulian Guerrero, and Congressman Michael St. Nicholas, as well as the 7 at-large delegates. In national news, the first of many memorial services for George Floyd has begun in Minneapolis. It follows a night of mostly peaceful protests around the country and new charges against all 4 ex-police officers connected to Floyd's death. Michael George has the latest from Minneapolis.
A somber moment in Minneapolis. George Floyd's body arrived at North Central University escorted by his family. Inside the auditorium, loved ones paused in front of his casket to pay their respects. The family's attorney and the Reverend Al Sharpton are featured speakers. Frida Mulba and her family came to the outside of the memorial to show their support.
It's very sad that somebody had to lose their life in order for things to be changed or our voices to be heard.
Following today's service, Floyd's body will be flown to North Carolina, where he was born, for a public viewing and a private family service Saturday. There will be a large public service on Monday in Houston, where Floyd spent most of his life. 4 ex-police officers connected to Floyd's death have now been charged and arrested. Former officers J. Alexander King, Thomas Lane, and Tu Tao are charged with aiding and abetting murder. They made their first court appearances today. Former officer Derek Chauvin, who put his knee on George Floyd's neck, is now accused of second-degree murder, which carries a stiffer penalty than the charges he was already facing. Protesters had been demanding additional arrests. Demonstrations across the country last night were mostly peaceful, but there were some exceptions, including in New York City, where officers used their batons to physically move a large crowd of protesters. Some fell to the ground, and others were restrained. Police were also seen chasing some protesters as they left the area. In New Orleans, police used tear gas to disperse a crowd on a bridge that included small children.
They tear gassed everybody. We're coming back.
It was in stark contrast to the night before when officers took a knee with protesters in solidarity. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
If convicted of the new charges, the 4 officers connected to Floyd's death could be sentenced for up to 4 decades in prison. Meanwhile, in a rare public rebuke, President Trump's former Defense Secretary James Mattis denounced the president for threatening to use military troops to control protesters. In a scathing statement, he wrote, quote, "Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try. Instead, he tries to divide us," end quote. Here at home, 2 separate peaceful protests will be held to support the Black Lives Matter movement. One will be held from 4 to 6 p.m. at the ITC intersection, and another protest will be held at the Chief Kapua Park from 3 to 5 p.m. Again, do not forget to wear a mask to these events and practice social distancing. In your Banking 671 report, effective Monday, June 8th, all Community First Guam Federal Credit Union members, service centers, lobby, teller, and drive-through services will be open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, and then closed on Saturday. Due to social distancing requirements, in-person loan officer services and administrative contacts are by appointment only. In the meantime, the Guam Bankers Association continues to encourage residents who plan to file for Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or PUA, to consider opting for direct deposit. To opt in, you're urged to take the following steps. First, open a deposit account with your preferred bank. 2, collect necessary account information. Be prepared to provide your account number and your bank's routing number. And third, visit Guam DOL's online portal, hireguam.com, to apply for the assistance. And that is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360.
All right, thank you, Bree. Hey, you got a birthday shout out?
Yeah, I wanted to wish a happy birthday to my grandfather, Mr. Antonio Calvo. He is celebrating being 93 years young. So happy birthday. I know people are watching in California.
Wow,
and
93.
Yeah, he's the former mayor of Jigo.
Nice, yeah.
So happy birthday. He's drinking his root beer. Don't worry, I got you. I'll get you something stronger.
You can get him some beer.
Some real stuff.
Right. 8:34. Let's go over to the phones where we have Mayor Luis Rivera of Tatuha, Tumon, Tamuning, and Harmon on the line. Good morning, Mayor.
Happy good morning.
Happy day.
Jason, and the people of Guam. Good morning.
Viva Betness. So Friday, Mayor, where can we start? Let's just start here. We're going to pop up the pictures of the parking structure in Tumon. This has been a problem that just won't go away, and there are different sides of it. There's one that it's illegal dump, obviously, maybe even a public health hazard. The other side of it too, Mayor, and this is where we kind of bring you in, is there are people who the property owner has said are squatting on the property. And in talking with David Sue, who responds to us sometimes, he said that, hey, I locked the place up. They still went in, and he even tried making a deal like, yeah, you guys are going to stay here, clean the area up. Not sure what happened with that, but obviously it's worse off than it was before the COVID, Mayor.
Yes, and it has been a long time problem. And I have been meeting with GPD, the VSO, the former chief, Paul Suba.
Yeah.
And talking to the private property owners, to lock up the place. And so, therefore, more homeless are coming out and in need of a place to go to. I get many complaints, business owners and residents talking about homeless individuals coming into their areas and nearby jungles, squatting, even like just sleeping in front of business places that have benches. Right. So it is a big problem, and there's nowhere else to refer them to. I mean, a lot of the homeless shelters are already full.
Right.
And because of COVID now, I know they're limited. So right now, I'm still waiting for something to be mentioned on where all these homeless individuals can go. There have been some success stories where some of them got emergency housing. Some of them have mentioned to me that they've been working with Goodman Mommy and Salvation Army, to get a place. So, right now, we still, there hasn't been anything since the closing of Paseo, scrapping that off. Oh, so we're still waiting.
Yeah, and as we head into typhoon season, I feel like we're running up against the clock here.
Yes, even when there's hard rain, that come down. I mean, it's hard for me to sleep at night, worrying about them out there, if they're covered, if they're sheltered. Did they, move to another place where they can be sheltered and kept warm? I'm just hoping something will come up.
Well, Mayor, you have a hard time sleeping because you're thinking about these homeless people out there. I wonder if our senators and our governor and lieutenant governor have the same problem.
Well, I've reached out to all of them. Many of them who are running for office have come to me asking what our concerns were. And so way before this pandemic crisis happened, I have always mentioned, it's the homeless population. There's a lot of individuals that have a special circumstance, beyond our control, and they end up getting out of the house where they were staying with other family members. With that and the stray dog population, those were our two things that we cannot control.
Yeah.
And we try to, to help, find places for them, or even, for them to go. But then, now it's just getting harder, and there's more coming out, and like I said, now with the private business owners, because it's their private property, they're boarding up, and which is good, because we want them to take care of their place, because it becomes a nuisance, it becomes an environmental hazard to all the neighbors around them. So, illegal dumping is going on there, so they're boarding up, they're blocking it off.
And what we've seen also, Mayor, is that because we closed the island off and we're all staying home in quarantine, a lot of the homeless have kind of got comfortable in these businesses, and in and around these businesses that weren't open because we were shut down for a couple months. And Mayor, we're playing right now because we're talking about the homeless. We're going to play these pictures that we received from Paseo, where, we're talking about we don't have a homeless shelter. It looks like there's one at Paseo, as most of these pavilions have been taken over by people who just, quite simply don't have anywhere else to go. They're hanging their clothesline. They've got their coolers. They've got, you can see people, multiple families and groups of individuals are, pretty much making Paseo their homeless shelter.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
Right.
I've gone down there also. I know there are a lot of people that go walking there every morning. So
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, and so we're just really hoping and praying that something be done for them. Just a safe place for them to go, for all those that are in need.
It's been long enough.
Yeah, I can't believe you're like the only one saying this. And what gets me is I was talking with our friend Will Sparkinson yesterday, and he was saying that, man, he's disappointed with the administration because, housing the homeless and dealing with those less fortunate, that is something that is supposed to fall right in the Democratic wheelhouse. That is something that, Democrats and left-leaning people are supposed to, everybody should deal with it, right? But you kind of would expect it, and and I'm hearing from other Democrats, it's mind-boggling why there's just this. I don't know if it's an unwillingness, but I just think, man, we can just slap together, FESPAC funds and solve all these other problems that aren't as pressing as this. What's the deal with helping the homeless, and why does it seem like every time we ask about it, we either get the runaround or we get our heads bitten off? And, none of those is the right answer.
Well, Chris and Bree, I'm not the only one. I'm concerned about this. There are so many people that are calling me about it, and, that are concerned about, the homelessness population. And, it's just a matter of, the powers to make it happen. There's so much that can happen. It's just that, we need the authority. And so, hopefully something comes up soon because, as we saw in the budget, there was funding for a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
So funding. We're just waiting for that to open, and a lot of times, our colleagues, all the other mayors, we do get together and we talk about issues and stuff. And so, I know many of us are experiencing the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just very fortunate you're calling me and giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. Are you involved with, we can move on from homeless, or did you want to, yeah. We'll continue to try and
if we keep talking about it, I'm just going to get mad and,
yeah.
Okay, well, on the good news side, we did have fruit boxes delivered, and it's being delivered to every village, every mayor's office. So of course for the people of Tumaning, Tuman, and Harmon, those who would like to get a box of fruits, we have it available at our Tumaning Community Senior Center from 8:30 to 4:30 today, while supplies last. We're giving that out, and then also we're doing hula and Zumba out in the open. Many residents have called to, bring back the exercising. So we're
bring back the Zumba.
Out in the parking lot in front of the gym and the mayor's office. And, we have that hula is Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And Tuesdays and Thursdays will be Zumba.
I like the way you say that, Mayor. Zumba.
Okay.
By the way,
yes.
I was going to ask if you were involved with the discussions with GVB for the massive cleanup that's going to be held at the end of the month to get ready, Guam ready.
Mayor Robert Hoffman is our representative on the GVB board, and so he did inform us of that. That there will be, a massive cleanup. With different agencies and different people, different groups coming out to help clean up the island. To do what we can to bring back tourism, bring back the normal. Have everything back and beautiful.
Yeah, and it looks like that parking garage we were talking about is going to be one of the first areas that they try and tackle, Mayor. What other issues are you facing in Tatuha, Mayor?
Well, of course, the grass is growing fast. I mean, there's a lot of areas we just cut, but a lot we're actively scheduling, grass cutting and cleanup. Just a lot of sprucing up all over the place. And then, of course, filling up potholes, tree trimming, trying to continue to beautify our community. And, other than that, we're also servicing, of course, many of those who come in need of assistance, just everything, everything that's going on, in regards to the pandemic, and also trying to keep the curve down. We're having our community testing for Tumaning residents at St. Anthony Church grounds on June 18. So we encourage everyone, to come on over there from 9 to 12 together with Public Health. And the St. Anthony parish priest, he allowed us to have it there, so that they can have it can be a drive-through. We already have canopies set up there.
Nice.
So, we'll be out there, and, we really encourage everyone to come out and get tested. You don't need to have symptoms. You just, we need to make sure that, you're clear. And,
bring an ID.
Yes.
And what are your residents saying, Mayor? I feel like people now want to be tested if they don't have to have symptoms, and they're just going to test everybody. Is that the feeling that you're getting from your constituents in Tamuning, Tumon, and Harmon?
Well, yes. I have received many calls, that are, those that are interested in getting it. And of course, because a lot of people are going back to work and now going to attend worship, going to church, and so of course, they want to make sure that they're free and clear of anything, from the virus, so that they don't spread anything, or we don't have a cluster, a big cluster.
What about the businesses, Mayor? I know that we've had dine-in, obviously a lot of business reopenings in this PCOR 2. How's that affecting your villages? Because, man, I go around in your area, it seems like a lot of traffic.
Yes, traffic has really picked up. But there's still a lot of people. It's not as, it's not back to normal. You can really tell because we see a lot of people on the road causing road traffic, but inside it's still slow. People are still scared to come out. They're not ready to. Same with church services. We opened up being allowed to go to church, but still there's some that are not ready to. Even if we tell them there's going to be social distancing, you're going to be ushered, they're going to check your temperature. Yeah, it's still a little bit slow inside, is what I'm seeing in many places. And even with those that are back at work, some stores are open, some are not. The ones that are open, they're telling us it's too slow,
Right. Yeah, and that's
they cannot bring back all their employees yet because the business is running slow.
That's the struggle, is that we've got so many people talking about how we need to reopen the economy, but Mayor, that stimulus just wasn't enough, and our people have been out of work for 3 months. We don't have the unemployment yet, and you're right. I was talking to some small business owners, and they're like, Chris, we don't know. We want to open. At this point, we're grateful to make some sales, but at the same time, every minute that we're open, we're racking up bills, whether it's for utilities, paying the employees, or rent or whatever. So it is kind of a balancing game for some of these businesses to open in a way where maybe it's not a full-blown opening with all the staff there, but obviously I'm sure they got to juggle the ability to make money and that profit. So yeah, it's definitely been a struggle. A GPO, I went over to get my haircut and they were like, I called ahead of time because it's by appointment only, and I said, hey, can I get in? They're like, yeah, it's very slow, come on in, we got an appointment right now. And I said, oh, I thought it's crazy over there. And they said, no, only at Ross.
That's true. Every time we look out, where the line is long,
they should do a community testing at Ross.
Yeah, but we're also hearing that it may be long, but it moves fast. So people will say like, oh, I was only in line for 10 minutes or 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, but so every like I said, when we look out and we see the line almost reaching our center, it's like, oh my goodness. But and especially because of graduation. Yes, congratulations to all the 2020 graduates. We just had John F. Kennedy yesterday and Academy.
Big one, right?
Wonderful, yes.
Yeah. And then we have Maria Ujoa this morning, or this afternoon, and also Inarahan Middle School this afternoon. So we'll talk about that. And then tomorrow morning, my two little young guns, Callie and Chase, are doing their promo up at DLP for pre-K. So.
Yes, we're also having promotions going on at our elementary schools. It's so wonderful. It's something the kids are looking forward to, and that's why they are saying the lines at Ross are so long because people are trying to go and buy stuff for their promotions and the graduation and so forth. So, that's going well. But, also many people are also calling about, how come I didn't get my stimulus yet? And then they're also talking about, my deceased sister got a check, and she's deceased. And, so I've been trying to reach out to Reverend Tax, to Daphne, about how we can check whether or not like a check was cut for them, or they're just not getting a check, or what, because, so many people are waiting and still haven't received any. And then there's a lot of people posting that they got theirs and they're so happy. So, we're hoping to iron out those issues too.
Right. Well, Mayor, it's always good to get you on. Let's do a weekly thing where we come on and you just tell us what's going on. You got some busy villages.
Yes. Okay. Well, it's always great to take your call. And, you guys call and give us the opportunity to do the shout out and let people know what's going on. I also want everyone to know that we have a wonderful chat group. If anyone who's living in the community is interested in being a part of it, being informed, all the information, press releases we get from the Joint Information Center, we shoot it out right away, and, if there's anyone in need of any type of assistance, they're always welcome to call us anytime.
You can just go ahead and add me to that chat group.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay.
She lives in Jigo, though. Is that like breaking the rules? Because I don't want you to get in trouble. She might get jumped. You're going to get like virtually jumped. They're going to jump you in first brief so you could be a Tamuning resident.
You had to out me, huh?
Mayor, Mayor, again, the fruit pickup. Can you just give us that info before we let you go?
Okay. So we started fruit pickup this morning. It was just delivered yesterday. So again, every mayor's office is receiving fruit boxes to give out to their community and those in need. So if you're having difficulty with transportation, please give us a call. Other than that, they can just drive through at the Tamuning Community Senior Center up until 4:30 today.
Okay. How many boxes?
Well, it's supposed to be one per household.
Right. How many you got to give away, though?
We were only given 360, and, we're a big population.
Right.
So, of course, there are many sincere people that will call and say, make sure you give it to the people who need it. And, thank you for sharing the information with us. But, let's give it out to those who need it. And these boxes got a lot of fruit,
What do you got, Mayor?
It's the norm, the orange apples and green apples, red apples, and oranges. These are the same boxes that GDOE is giving out.
Yeah. Mayor, send me
if you already got one at GDOE, then, save this for someone else.
Right. Yeah. Send me a pic, Mayor, and we'll put it up on the Facebook for people to see, and we'll tell them to go pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, go pick up your fruits. You guys got to eat more fruits and vegetables.
And this is every mayor's office, you said?
Every mayor's office was being given.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's giving it? Is it USDA or is this the private?
This is also through a USDA grant with Pacific Unlimited.
Okay, all right.
That's the federal, right, Mayor?
Yes, Senator Mike Menchaca for reaching out to us and helping facilitate this whole thing. To give to those who need it. In this pandemic crisis, everyone's in need. I said, even if they're making a big salary and all that, but even when we go to Payless or Costless and the lines are super long and all that, it's hard. It's hard for people to even shop. And then when we do have time, they're closed.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mayor, so much. Send me that
You're
pic,
welcome.
and we'll put it on. Hopefully, we'll smell a lot of apple pies baking around the island this weekend.
Oh, yes. Okay.
All right.
Thank
take
you,
care.
Mayor. Wash your hands.
Be safe.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
Okay. All right. 8:57. Love her, man. Mayor Luis Rivera. No, there's no lemai in the fruit box.
I love lemai.
That's not the federal. 8:56.
All the federal.
Yeah, it's all the federal and the COVID. We're going to take a little break here. We have Polly Mike Chrysostamo coming on. Keep it in Tamuning. He's going to talk about a great program that they have going on at St. Anthony And that's on the way here on the KUAM News Takeover. Guam's favorite. It is containing COVID. Good morning.
Locally roasted.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We on the USS Theodore Roosevelt.
Carrier Air Wing 11.
Desron 23.
And Carrier Strike Group 9.
Want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From the day we joined the military,
We are taught that in a fight, the most important asset is your team.
thank you, Guam.
Thank you, Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 1.
Thank you, Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 5.
Thank you, Construction Battalion Maintenance Unit 303.
Thank you, Naval Hospital Guam.
Thank you, 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force.
Thank you, U.S. Naval Base Guam.
Thank you, Navy Expeditionary Forces.
Thank you, 554 Red Horse Squad.
Thank you, Helicopter Sea Combat 25.
Thank you, 30th Naval Construction Regiment.
Thank you, Commander Joint Region Marianas.
Thank you, Commander Submarine Squadron 15.
Much appreciation to Anderson Air Force Base.
Thank you, 36 Medical Group.
Thank you, Commander Task Force 75.
You guys have been the best team that we could have ever asked for.
During a time of unprecedented uncertainty,
We are focused on our family at home.
And the mission at hand.
You were focused on us and our health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
we went through a global pandemic.
And came out the other side.
Thanks to your support, your well wishes, and your prayers.
Thank you. Thanks to the government of Guam.
Thank you.
Thank you, people of Guam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guam Hotels and Restaurants Association.
Thank you.
For opening up your island.
Thank you for opening your doors.
Thank you for opening your hearts.
Thank you for helping us adapt to this new normal.
Thank you for helping us stay healthy.
Thank you, everyone, for everything.
Thank you for keeping us TR strong.
Ha'afare. When it comes to applying for unemployment benefits as it relates to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance and Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation programs, the first thing you'll need to do is create an account and register on HireGuam.com. Utilizing this button rather than the Not Registered button at the upper right login box will ease the pool registration process as it was built specifically for the pool program. The first page you'll see is the welcome page that explains the pool program and the 10 scenarios of eligibility that caused unemployment. Read through it entirely, and if any pertain to you, click Next. Input your social security number and then re-enter to confirm. Notice at the top of the page, the eligibility section is completed and the registration process begins. In order to complete your registration process, you will be asked to provide the following: a username and password and select a security question, an email address, or if you don't have one, you will be required to create one with the link provided, your residential and mailing address if different, your preferred notification method to receive benefit notices and updates, any prior military or current military service, education, occupation, your preferred payment method, such as direct deposit or paper check. Now, if you opt for direct deposit, you will need to supply your bank account and routing number. And since these benefits are taxable, whether or not you would like your taxes withheld. When you see the page notifying you to proceed to make your PUA claim, you have completed the registration process and may continue to the work history portion of the claims process. Input your last employer data, job title, and employment information. When the system prompts you to enter your last day worked, make sure you enter the date in which your employment status was directly affected by COVID-19. For example, if you were furloughed on April 1st, 2020, but have since returned to work, you will enter April 1st and not yesterday. Complete the rest of your work history information and add as many past employers as needed. Once completed, you will be required to certify that all information is true and correct, that you are responsible to keep informed of program benefits and reading program material, and that you acknowledge that any false statements are punishable by law and could result in a fine, imprisonment, restitution, and a loss of future benefits. Read through PUA's to-do list and take note of the following. Immediately file your weekly claim. Report all income for the week to include tips, commissions, and gratuities, even if you have not yet been paid. If you return to your normal pre-pandemic work hours or return to work and make over $494, you must stop filing a weekly claim. You must be able and available for work. If you are offered your job back and refuse for a non-COVID related reason, you are no longer eligible to receive PUA benefits. And at PCOR 3, you must look for work by contacting at least 3 different employers about job openings.
.904. We're KUAM FM, Magotny, Guam, Cabo Enterprises, Ambrose Inc., IT&E, Coast 360 and the Bank of Guam, so proudly presenting to you Containing COVID. A little bit of Freddie and Mariana's Collective. I think Joe Hernandez and Gene Castro on the track there. Great little ditty. Local music, that's all we play here. Go local all the way. That's love letter number 42. I wonder how the first 41 were. Good morning. It's the 5th day of June. We're going to bring on Paulie Mike. We'll keep it in Tamuning here. And he's coming on to talk about the Stop Violence Against Women grant that's going on at St. Anthony's Catholic Church. He's the program director for this community and faith-based program that coordinates and provides training focused primarily on sexual assault to clergy, faith leaders, and congregations, including those from various faith denominations. So, that's a complicated way to put it. So we'll bring on Paulie Mike. I'm pretty sure he could... I don't know if dumb it down's the term we want to use, but good morning, Paulie.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Chris.
Chris and Sabrina here. Of course, we wanted to bring you on just to talk about this grant and the work that you guys are doing with it. So we'll just give you the floor, and if you could just, take us from the first step to where we are right now.
Thank you, Chris and Sabrina, for the opportunity. We have been awarded a grant from the Stop Violence Against Women under the Department of Justice, Office of Violence Against Women. And we are, along with the Archdiocese of St. Anthony's Church, we are responsible for coordinating training and workshops for clergy and faith-based leaders, including congregations, not just our Catholic faith, but also of other faith groups and other faith denominations. And primarily, again, we are an indirect program, so we don't direct dealing with, under this grant, with victims of sexual assault, but we do on a daily basis because of my position, and of course many of our victims seek spiritual leaders for this type of comfort and address towards the situation that they're in. And so we, on a case-by-case basis, deal with victims daily. And especially during this COVID-19, this has been a very challenging moment for us because, as you know, with the lockdown and people having to stay home, many of our victims are locked into this situation. And so we just want to get the word out that for many of the victims who are listening to this, we are with you. We are here. We're here to help. If they can just contact us, and our numbers are there to be able to reach out and to trust someone that you can be able to open up to and be able to get yourself out of that situation. Safety is of concern, and we want to make sure that. And our program is to really train leaders, especially clergy, so that when victims do call, they know how to respond and they know how to have a coordinated plan to be able to deal with individuals that may come through their offices. So our program is called Healing Stones. So we provide a stone or a rock that is they can hold in their hand, just so it gives them courage and strength, knowing that that this could be a very difficult situation for them. And we want them to know that they're not alone on this, and that we are able to stand on each other and be able to withstand any obstacles that may come with us, as long as we do it together and not alone.
What kind of stories are you hearing, Polly, in standing up this training?
So one particular story stands out in mind is a victim who just recently was in her situation. I received this call from one of our parishioners that she couldn't get out because of the lockdown, and so one of the things we had to do was be able to call and work with our partners in the coalition against sexual assault and family violence, the Guam Coalition. So we reached out to like Alley Shelter, to Victims of Advocates, reaching out Varo, to be able to work with them so that we can be able to assist our victims in need. These type of stories are constant, Chris and Sabrina. They are everyday neighbors, even parishioners, people, churchgoers. You may not even know that they're a victim. They're sitting right next to you. And so I implore anyone who's out there, please do not turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to them. Our victims need our help.
Right. And just a rough estimate, how many people are we talking? How many victims do you believe are out there, or how many people have reached out to you guys so far?
So far during the COVID-19, I received five phone calls. That's just from my program alone. Varo and GPD and their program, DART program, they receive many more phone calls, and police that many of them don't want to contact law enforcement because they're fearful of the retaliation from their abusers or perpetrators. And so they seek other means, for example, faith-based leaders, to be able to do that. And so I'm assuming that's why we're providing a training for clergy this coming June 19th, I believe, to be able to kind of get the numbers together. And we want to ensure that our faith-based leaders are ready and prepared to be able to address that. So our numbers are very sketchy at this point because we're unsure of it, but we know that there are many.
Yeah, and we've had Varo on, and this is something that they talk about during this lockdown. We had they were getting calls where it would ring once, hang up, or they would get a victim on the line, and the victim would be trying to talk fast because you're right, they're locked in with the abuser.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because, thinking that the home is a safe place for victims of sexual assault and family violence, home is not the safest place.
No, it's not. And so that's why, of course, we wanted to bring you on, Polly. I know that you're also working with various communities out there, like migrant communities, with this training too, right?
Correct. So one of our other programs is culturally specific, and we work with our Chuukese migrants who make Guam their home, and understanding that the laws in the island is very different from where they come from and here in Guam. And so we try to educate our people, especially the migrants, to understand what is the Guam law, what is the U.S. law, so that it may be culturally accepted to hit someone, but it's certainly not here accepted, and it violates the law.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have translators or anything like that, or a need?
Yes, so we do have actually translators and interpreters to be able to help us in cases that we may encounter that may need a translator. Most of the victims that we have are elderly women, or not elderly, but maybe in their 50s or 60s, and they certainly would need a translator because they just migrated to Guam. But they're young people. I mean, it's amazing. The young people are also serving as their interpreters, and they are speaking out. Our young people today whose ancestors migrated here, who found their home here, now are learning what the ways are here to be able to help defend themselves.
Okay. Well, what's the phone number?
So our phone number for our program is 646-7181, and they can contact me, Polly Mike, again, or they can just contact Varo or even 911 for assistance.
Right. And Polly Mike, so we wanted to bring you on to talk about this program, but, while we got you here, let's put on our St. Anthony hat and talk about what do you have going on with masses, and how has that been to, and I'm assuming you've been having them, how's it been to have people back inside the church?
It's been wonderful. I think the people are gradually coming into St. Anthony's Church. We have 2 masses that we've been having since we reopened. We are now adding a 3rd mass. Normally, we will have 8 masses, and we're only adding a 3rd mass right now because people are probably just still scared coming back. They're not comfortable, and of course, we have social distancing in the church, so even the capacity is very limited. But we are allowing for any of that, and then, of course, allowing for communion outside. So when people are standing outside, we give communion to them.
Nice. And what are the hours for the masses at St. Anthony's?
Sure. At St. Anthony's, it's Saturday, 5 p.m., and that's, of course, also on Fox Channel 6, and 11 o'clock on Sunday. And our added mass now is at 5 p.m. Sunday evening.
Mm-hmm. You talked about how some people are still hesitant in coming in. In just the discussions you've had with parishioners, what was their reason, I guess, for coming in and risking possible exposure?
That's correct. And then that's why the protocols are in place to wear a mask constantly to enter, much like they do at a restaurant or a bank, and to be able to keep social distancing. But our people want to worship, Chris and Sabrina. They want to practice their faith. They want to live their faith, and they should be rightfully to do so. And this is an essential part, and that's why we're hoping the government sees faith-based leaders as partners and essential. And I hope that, that we don't have to go through this again, but if we do, I hope that they see us as an essential part of the community.
Right. Yeah, good. That makes a lot of sense there, Polly. Hey, we're having a lot of graduations, class of 2020. Now we're starting to see the grad and go ceremonies. Just want to get your thoughts on that. And is anybody asking you to maybe do a mass for grads or anything, or have you?
Actually, we are, St. Anthony's we'll be having the University of Guam Baccalaureate Mass this coming Wednesday. And so June 10th, I believe.
Wow.
And I think it's limited capacity, but they are having a baccalaureate mass for them.
Nice. Okay, I think we're good. Polly, unless you wanted to offer a short prayer, it's been a minute since, Father Paul has done one. We've had the Archbishop pray with us here on the show. We've even had Pastor Mark from Life in the Sun. Yeah, so we'll just give you the floor, Polly, and always the room for a little prayer.
Amen to that. And may the Lord God continue to give us strength and courage, and for those who need to be able to seek out His love and mercy, and for those of us who continue to be models of faith and models of the light, that we inspire hope and love to others that we meet. And may the blessings of Almighty God be with you all, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Viva Santa Maria Carmelin!
Viva.
Right
Thank
on.
you, guys.
Thank you, Polly Mike. Right, wash your hands.
God bless.
Okay, be safe. All right. There you go. Hey, man, you get a lawyer friend, you ask him for free legal advice. You have a doctor friend, you ask him for the medical. When you get the priest on the line, I'm always going to say, hey, can we do a little prayer? So thank you.
Need that.
Father Mike, 916. Let's stick it on the phones here. And we want to bring Christina Schwen on. She's the mom of a Roosevelt sailor. And so obviously we saw the Roosevelt. I thought they had left. Came back and then left again. So, of course, I was thinking about you, Christina, the minute I saw these stories about the Roosevelt circulating nationally again. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to bring you on and kind of catch up. What kind of conversation did you have with your boy before the Roosevelt left the first time? Good morning.
Good morning. He was fine. I don't know how to answer that. He was fine. The conversation was just a regular mom and son conversation.
Were you able to see him at all?
No, we weren't.
Okay.
We knew where he was at, and I probably shouldn't have even known that, but I knew where he was at, and it was very frustrating because like I said, from where I live to where they are, it's a stone's throw. Right next to Naval Station. Right. So it was very frustrating knowing that he was here and I couldn't see him.
Christina, do you feel fortunate that your boy was able to escape this whole outbreak on the Roosevelt without catching COVID?
I am. I'm fortunate, but in the same breath, I don't know how to explain myself. Yes, we were fortunate, but in the same breath, it's for most of the people that I know that got it. You know, the kids from the ship. I'm not calling them kids because they're kids to me. But from the kids on the ship that did get it, it was like, oh, it's a cold. You know? And I don't want to be one of those people that say, oh, you guys are making a mountain out of a molehill. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I also am saying that God has blessed us. He said, hey, look, I'm going to scare you guys real good. And he did. And that's where we're at right now. I am fortunate. My son is fortunate that nothing bad came of this. I know that's not popular opinion.
No.
It's mine.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for us. And can you tell us what happened with it? Left and then they came back and then left again. So what are you able to tell us about that chain of events, Christina?
Well, I know that I can tell you because it's already been out in the news. Not all of them left the first time around.
Right.
And that's it. They came back to pick up their sailors.
So I wonder if these were sailors who had caught COVID and were still recovering, or do you know anything about why they were left behind?
Not necessarily. From what I know, it was just sailors that, like, okay, COVID, the thing about COVID is it's very similar to an everyday cold, yes? So even if you have just an everyday cold, or in my case, I have severe allergies. If I'm around dogs or cats, I start to sneeze, I start to cough, I start to wheeze. You can hear the wheezing now. I have 2 dogs and 1 cat.
You kind of sound like my sister. You got pets give you asthma, but I have a lot of pets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that they were doing it, from what I know, is that even if you had the slightest, you're staying. You're staying. Because they didn't have, not that the tests weren't positive and negative, it's just we're not going to take those chances. So even the slightest thing, a cough, I have a headache, you know, I'm things that make you want to go to Pacific Star. Sorry, is that too soon? Was that
No.
I'm sorry. So anyways, if you felt that way, then they said, okay, you're staying back. So if even the slightest, I don't feel well today, I'm feeling under the weather. It's like, okay, you're staying back. And they took out the people that needed to go. That's it. As simple as that. If you know anything about the Navy, what was it? Somebody told me 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And so that is kind of like Navy protocol. If there's a possibility, we're not going to do it.
Right.
Or we're going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending on the situation.
What did you make, Christina, of the propaganda that came out from the Office of the Governor about there was this video, I don't know if I sent you the link or if you had seen it, but it was basically, yeah, you see it. So what was your take on that?
Well, I know I messaged you about it. It was very upsetting. I was very upset by that. She had nothing to do with it. I'm a person that gives people the benefit of the doubt. Here's my take on her role in this. She said, oh yeah, we have empty hotels. You can come and stay at our empty hotels and we'll take your money. Smart. It was very smart. It was very smart. It was very businesslike of her. And that's it. That was her role in it. She had no way to stop the Theodore Roosevelt from coming onto U.S. soil. They are a U.S. ship. The federal government said, we're going to do it. The only thing that she had a hand in doing is saying, yeah, you can come out of your gate.
Right. Yeah.
We'll allow it.
I like your perspective on it because you're right. It was, in a lot of ways, and there were so many different emotional arguments going on at the time, but in a lot of ways, it was, in its simplest form, a business arrangement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. And one thing that she is good at is business. You know? Or at least she's given us that impression that she's good in business.
Right. And so you took issue with just the whole the whole video played out. It seemed to give like a lot of credit to the governor and lieutenant governor. I mean, that's the nature of the game, though. I mean, what politician, right, doesn't want to take credit? But you know, at a time like this, maybe not the best call.
She's gonna put it as a notch in her belt. You know, every leader has their, what is the word I'm looking for? Their legacy, huh? That's the word I'm looking for. Every leader has their legacy. This is going to be Lilian Guerrero. She got us through COVID, and she got us through COVID with a banging success. You know, and it's like, I think the people of Guam did that a lot more than you did there, love. Because they were the ones that said, "Oh, stay inside. Okay, we got it." I know a family. And this is by no exaggeration. And I hope she's listening to me now because she's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. She took her children and she shut them up into their house, and nobody saw them. The only reason why we knew that they were still alive, and this is not an exaggeration, is because her kids were playing Fortnite with my kids. And that is the only way that we knew that house, that family was still alive. There was no movement in the house, coming in and out, right? We didn't see it.
Yeah.
We didn't see it. The kids were out, because we were all pretty much clean down here, right? And we're all a small community, and so every once in a while when the kids were just getting stir crazy, it's like, can we just peek out? And then it just so happened all the kids were peeking out at the same time. And so, we didn't see them. There's some people on Guam that did exactly that. You told us to stay inside, we stayed inside. You told us not to go anywhere, not all of them. Some of them went to the beaches still. But for the most part, people wore the mask and did social distancing.
Right. I agree, Christina. I don't think that our government leaders, for the most part, have given the people of Guam enough credit. Because remember what they're trying to do? They were trying to do a curfew. They were trying to give us tickets. They were trying to do the roadblock.
Already doing themselves.
I know. That's what was crazy was the governor was so hung up. Like every other word was about authority, was about powers, was about I have the authority, I don't have the authority. And in the meantime, while they were blah, blah, blahing all about that, we were doing what we had to do.
Yeah, exactly. We were doing precisely what we had to do, precisely what we were told to do. And, we were good, obedient children. Mm-hmm. And she took that and said, see, look at what I've done with my children. Oh, look, I did this. Oh, look, that's called narcissism, dude. That's being I'm sorry, because I just read an article about this. Oh. That's why it looks very familiar to me. Shoot, I forgot the word. I lost the word. A toxic. That's a toxic parent right there, because she's taking the wins of her children, quote unquote children, and she's saying, oh, this is all me, this is all me, this is all me. That's what a toxic parent does. Oh, my child got all A's in school. I'm such a wonderful mother. It's all about me. That kind of thing. That's exactly what she did. That's exactly what she's doing. I did this. This is all me and my administration. No, love. No. Your people of Guam did this. We were the ones that did what we needed to do in order to survive all of this nonsense. Our community came together, and the people that needed to be fed, we fed them. I know of a lot of families, they have family members that they lost their jobs. The husband and the wife both lost their jobs. So what happened? The extended family that still had means rallied around that family and helped them. Okay? When there was no food, what happened? DOE said, come and get the food. When there was no fruit, the mayor said, here's fruit. Senior citizens, here's food. Here, you know what I mean? The community did that. When everybody was against the TR, it was the community, after all of the bad mouthing that they did, you know, out of fear. I get that. I'll say that again. But when all of that quieted down, it was the community that rallied around that ship and said, here you go. Here's your donation. You know? It's the little things that we can do. And I'm going to say it again. Here's the thing. I don't know if anybody watches Channel 14, but it's the military channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
The news that they give out to the military, the safety and all of that. They have a segment there, and they talk about Inafa Maulik and how Inafa Maulik is about giving. You know, it's our responsibility to give our neighbor, to make sure that our neighbor doesn't go without. If they need help, then we help them. Yes. At the beginning of this, there was nothing. There was no fathoming of giving to the TR. In the midst of it, though, attitudes had changed. They had turned around, and I thank God for that. You know, all the praying we did, that's what happened. That's what became of that. They turned their attitudes around, and they started remembering Inafa Maulik. They started remembering that we have to give back. We have to give the ones that don't have, you know? And I've been saying this for the past 3 months to whoever's going to listen to me. We have to remember that we have to give back to the ones that don't have. And that's it.
And that's true.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to bring you on.
Yeah. We not only gave back to the sailors, but we gave back to each other, and so that we all could get through this together.
Yeah. Right.
Regardless of what politician is saying,
and
whatever.
That was before, and that was before the $1,200 that people got.
Yeah.
You know, people were saying, hey, you know what? My brother Ken, he doesn't have, so I'm going to give him. He has 3 kids. He has a wife. They both lost their jobs. I'm going to give them because I have a little bit extra.
This is all before the federal assistance came, because everybody waited.
It's the federal.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. We rallied around as a community, as we should have, and we did what we needed to do. And I'm sorry, Governor Liu, that had nothing to do with you. We did that on our own because that's our way.
Right on, Christina. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.
You're welcome. Have a very good day, and please be safe. And I'm still waiting for my Denancy.
Hey, let's go. The COVID is over. I'll bring it by.
It's not over, so
it's not
start
over.
telling
It's
people.
not over.
I thought it was over.
You can leave it outside in the parking lot, right in front of the newspaper stand, and I'll come and I'll fetch it.
That's okay.
Okay.
Got it,
Be
Christina.
safe.
Thank you. Wash your hands,
Okay,
okay?
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
All right. 9:31.
Well, that was some real talk right there.
Yeah. She's got some good opinions, and I keep in touch with her, and I think it's interesting that she had that take on this video that the governor's office had put out.
And her son was on that ship, and she didn't get to even see him.
Right. Yeah.
You know, at least she got to talk to him, right? But
yeah. And so now they're gone for. I wonder what they did, because they were out at sea for what, like a week or something.
A week or two.
Or they just went out and just did donuts for a week and then came back. 9:31. Christina stays in Santa Rita, so let's keep it in the south here. And I know we're doing Maria Ulloa's grad and go ceremony at 2:30, but I wanted to bring guidance counselor Marcella Takai from Inaran Middle School, the home of the Warriors, on because I'm close to these guys. We always do the Chiefs Day, which we weren't able to do this year. But I wanted to bring you guys on to just kind of talk, and we'll play a little video here, Marcella. about your grad and go ceremony, which is going to happen this afternoon, right?
Yes. Yes, we're going to be having our grad and go at 4 p.m. at our school. Weather permitting, everything will go well.
What do you mean weather permitting, Marcella?
Well, we saw the weather, and it's going to be a pretty rainy day. So we're supposed to motorcade from the Malolo Social Hall area. They're going to gather there around 3 o'clock, and then at about 3:45, the mayor's staff are going to escort the graduates or the promotees up to our school, and then we'll be handing out their certificates right there by our gym side. And so with the rainy weather, we're going to have to adjust, but it's been a whole year of adjustments, so I guess nothing new.
What's one more adjustment, right? Keep it coming.
One more adjustment. Yeah, we got this.
Yeah, so I know that you guys are mighty, Melissa and Ron Talafofo Jotnya. So are we anticipating a pretty big turnout for this grad and go?
We're hopeful. I mean, we've gotten a lot of communication from the parents via social media, calling the school. Anytime we run into them at the stores, like they've been asking, can we do like a little float? Can we have more than one graduate in the car? And just to clear some of those things up, we just want to make sure safety's first. So we do not mind if there's more than one student in the vehicle. They'll get down one at a time with 2 other representatives and their family if they'd like to take a picture or something with the backdrop. But as far as the floats, I mean, that's on them. That's if they want to attach a trailer to their vehicle. It is one vehicle, though, per student. So we're not asking like 3 family cars or anything to minimize the traffic and keep things safe. So.
All right.
Nice. And then just logistically, how's it work with the actual part where they get up there?
So they'll be driving up, and they'll come in through one entrance of the gate. I did send out a map. So there's an entranceway they'll be directed to, and then as they drive in, they will stop, pick up their certificate right where the music is, and their names will be announced, and then they'll walk over to a staging area where we'll have a backdrop, and they can take their pictures there with their family members, and then our admin, of course. So
good save on you guys' part, because you remember there was a point where we just said close the book on any type of graduation ceremony because we were so deep in the COVID, right?
Yes. So this is something, I mean, it's good. The one question that I thought was funny was a lot of our students who were, is everyone getting promoted? Am I getting promoted? Even if I had bad grades. And so just because of the circumstances, there was really no way we can hold that against any of our students.
Right. Man, I wish this was around when I was in 10th grade.
The majority of our kids will go to Southern High, so Southern High, please welcome our Warriors.
There you go, Marcella. We just wanted to bring you on again to. There's so many grad and goes go on. Of course, we had JFK, but you guys hold a special place in my heart. So we wanted to just bring on and
thank you.
Share
Thank
that
you
with
for
you.
always giving us that platform. We really do hope it reaches more of our students and our families. So thanks for this.
Right on, Marcella. We appreciate it. And hey, pray for Sun.
Yes. Please, everybody, pray for Sun.
Right, and if anything happens, if there's a postponement or anything, shoot me a text and we'll get it out over the airwaves.
Thank you. I'd really appreciate that.
Of course, Marcella. God bless you guys.
Take care.
Okay.
Thanks.
So wash your hands.
Yes.
Okay, 9:35. Hey, we're going to take a short break and come back with more of Containing COVID right here, the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. Good morning.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
graduating seniors. Join us by showing your class pride in the celebration caravan you deserve through the island's major thoroughfares. KUAM and its partners want to recognize your accomplishments and help celebrate this pivotal moment in your lives. To participate, email promotions@kuam.com and let's get this show on the road. Special thanks to ABC Stores Guam and The Dungeon. Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care. Keep your family safe at home and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook.
No, actually don't come over. Yeah. 41. That's the KUAM News Takeover containing COVID. Good morning. Let's bring our buddy Carl Mendiola from
Grab and Grub.
Grab and Grub. I was jamming out here. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Guam. And so, man, we partnered up with you guys. You guys been doing some, Grab and Grub. You guys kind of saved the COVID. You know what I mean? With the takeout. And this has just been something, especially for, anybody who was either staying home. For us, it was
working.
Yeah.
This is something that I know it was around before the COVID, I want to say. But
I think I saw it on Instagram, and I'd never tried it. And then, were you guys even online before COVID? Right before COVID?
Yeah. We were.
Mm-hmm.
We actually started the last week or the ending part of January.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's been a bittersweet success. We wanted to be successful, but our success came at a good and bad time.
Right.
Good time because, we came in right at that moment, but then bad time because of, look at the island, everybody's hurting.
Yeah.
So, we've been just doing awesome, providing work for people who got furloughed.
Wow.
Right. And, a lot of these our restaurant partners called us up and they said, "Hey man, could you guys hire my staff for now, until we can go back to regular operations,
right.
Because our staff has no money." And this is before the PPP came, the stimulus check came, and our drivers, man, they've been actually they've been very happy. One of our drivers actually called us up and actually messaged me and called me and told me personally that he thanked us because if it wasn't for us, he wouldn't be able to pay his car, his rent, and feed his family. And his family was eating good. This guy was making an average about maybe $700 to $800 a week.
Wow.
So, again, it's not us. And I told him,
Wait a second. Are you guys still hiring?
Oh, yeah, man. If you want to drive part-time, I would love to have Mr. Malamotion.
Oh, God. Yeah, Carl, so obviously, I mean, you guys are an example of one of these, silver linings of COVID, especially from a business standpoint, at a time where so many businesses were closed. We saw the restaurants with the takeout. They were able to kind of, stop the bleeding, at least in some ways. I mean, not, there's so many other businesses besides restaurants. And then you guys were able to step up and, I mean, it was a captive audience. Literally, everyone's staying home. People got to eat, and here comes you guys.
I think also not just stepping up in a sense of your business, providing your service, but also stepping up in a sense of giving back to the community and partnering with some of these restaurants. Kadu Cares is a prime example.
Carl, we're going to go ahead and unbox these meals here. These are from the Cracked Egg, one of your partners, right? So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Cracked Egg, Lori Tadinko and her other partners there, I personally been wanting these guys. Unfortunately, they were somewhat closed during the of course the lockdown, and just recently started opening up for limited hours and only for pickup. Of course, no dine-in. And we've actually partnered up with them, and I have to thank Isaac Duenas for signing them up, because I was trying to get a hold of Lori, but I lost her contact. Isaac was able to get a hold of her. And Cracked Egg, of course, everybody's known. It's been around for 7 years. They're a locally owned restaurant that, it's just, their food is amazing. I love their food. My favorite, and everybody there knows what I love when I walk in. It's the locomotion with the SOS sauce. And I'm telling you, that's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner at once.
Yeah.
I eat that, I'm passed out, or I'm like, cause it's a hearty meal, and it's good, and everything. I love Cracked Egg. I just love their pancakes. I love their French toast. Oh my God.
This pancakes is like, what is this, velvet pancakes here?
Yes, they got velvet pancakes. They got taro
and pistachio.
Pistachio, strawberry, regular buttermilk, mango, you name it, man. They got it.
Wow. Well, it looks good. We're looking at it right now, and
oh man, eat it, please try it. And again,
well.
Yeah, Carl.
Oh yeah. I don't have to tell you guys that. You're like, oh yeah, I'm getting Malagu here.
Yeah, we're so Malagu right now. Matt, let's go ahead and give out the ways that people can get the Grab and Grub. Obviously the app, right? And where else are you guys present? So that, I mean, if you haven't used this app by now, it's a great time to start.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Our app it's easy. It runs on both platforms. It runs on the Android and it runs on the Apple. So again, you can see our app on both stores. Just go ahead and download it. And when you download it, you have to create an account, and you can do that by using your Facebook account or just by using your email account. There's two ways to doing it. And then, of course, they're going to ask you to put in your address. Now, a lot of people on Guam, they're so used to physically or manually putting in their address, and we made it so simple that you can actually hit that use my live location, and it'll automatically fill it in, because you know how Google Maps, for some reason, Guam, Google Maps, you put in your address, you write, you type it in there, and all of a sudden it takes you. I stay in Tumuning, and then all of a sudden it takes me all the way to Sinahanya or
right.
Pago.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'm like a lot of people. I don't even know my address.
Well,
what?
I mean,
what I like about the app is the fact that it stores, like I have the address for here, and then I have the address for my house. So you could actually put in multiple locations
for
your order, and it stores it.
It's funny though, when you mention that, because I've actually had regulars that would order and they forget to, like, you know, they're still at their work, and when they order, it's being delivered to their work, and they're like, no, I'm at home. I'm sorry, I'm at home. I forgot to change the address. Because, yes, it does store it. The good thing about our app is you don't have to be at a physical address. We pin you on your GPS on your phone. And our app, you can, you know, we got almost 60 restaurants now that you can choose from. Yeah. And we love working with our partners. And I shout out to all my restaurant partners. Thank you so much, because if it wasn't for them, you know, we wouldn't be successful. And again, as our drivers as well. But the thing about our app and the beauty of our app is, I remember we were at the beach and my family goes, I'm hungry. And so we didn't want to leave the beach. So I pulled out my phone. I put in my address to where I'm at, my GPS, and I had it delivered to me. And then one of the drivers noticed it was me, and they go, boss. I said, yeah. Are you at the beach? I said, yes, I am. He goes, okay, just want to make sure. So, yeah, they came and they delivered to me right at the beach. You know, I was at Ipao Beach, and they delivered. So, again, things like this, you know, you could be having a party and, you know, somebody like me who always forgets to sign up and bring something, or the potluck to the family. Now I don't have to worry about that, man. I'm just like,
you're gonna go out of business, and the family find out you got. Hey, he's grabbing grub. Oh, right on. Never mind. Don't cook. He got it. Carl got it.
Covered. Carl got it
covered. Yep. Westwood Bankrupt.
They send me all their menu, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, God.
Yeah, Carl. We just wanted to bring you on. You know, obviously, I know we're gonna be doing this. Hopefully for the long haul, man. And you know, thank you for the food. We're gonna chow it, of course. And anything else you guys got going on, and your partnership with Kadu Cares, I think it was really key and really says a lot about
who you
guys and who you are. So.
Well, I mean, again, we always are humble in the things that we do, and we feel so blessed, you know, of our success. You know, what we planned and what we foresaw in hitting in a year, we hit in 3 months. And we wanted to give back to the community. And how we did that was, since the first week of the lockdown, we've actually been donating food. We donated about almost $30,000 worth of food, and also with partnership with our restaurant partners, Kadu Cares, Ben and Yams, to name a few. And we've been feeding the hospital workers, the frontline workers, and not only that, but people who are in need, people who were hurting before they got their stimulus check or that PPP. And we've been going out there trying to help out these people. I know that we donate to help with Kadu Cares. We do their deliveries. I know Mescla Bistro, just recently, we did every Tuesday and Wednesdays, we feed the Himilani apartments. We actually deliver to them. And I'm not too sure if it's still ongoing, but every Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we, you know, Kadu Cares donates the food to all these different restaurants. And of course, these restaurants donate their time by making the food. And then we pick it up and we deliver it at, of course, no cost. And this is something that we want to do by giving back to the community. And again, we wanted to say thank you to people like you guys and the community for making us successful. Again, if it wasn't for the people of Guam, we wouldn't be where we're at today, and we will always remember that. And this is where we started, Guam. And again, we have bigger things that is in store that's going to be coming up. You guys just be watching out, because we're going to rock this island.
Hey, rock it then. Rock it, pues, way. Okay, Carl, yeah, thanks. We wanted to get you on, obviously, you know, because you're the Free Food Connect. But hey, it is what it is.
No, but also because we wanted to highlight what you're doing for the community. There's so many people that have stepped up, and certainly Grab and Grub is one of them. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, thank you guys, because if it wasn't for you guys' support, we wouldn't be able to do this. Again, thank you so much.
All right. You take care. Stay safe.
Right on.
You too. And always remember, take off your mask before you put the food in your mouth. Huh?
That's good advice right there. Thanks, Carl. Wash your hands, man.
All right. Thank you, man.
Okay. We'll see you at 9:53. Again, it's the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite, containing COVID. We're going to take a short break, and so fortunate on this Friday. That was a pretty good note. And we're going to also end our show on another good note. So keeping it positive here at 9:53. It's containing COVID. Good morning.
Through being boxed in with Taco Bell.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Take it away, Bree. This is Kaylee and Kiko featuring Sabrina Salas Mantonani.
That's funny.
Right. 9:56. Good morning. It's proudly brought to you by IT&E, Ambrose Inc., Coast 360, the Bank of Guam, and Calvo Enterprises. Containing COVID. 9:56. Well, let's keep on the positive here and end our show on a good note where we're going to bring on Phil from the Rotary Club of Guam. Good morning, Phil.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Sabrina.
Hi.
We wanted to bring you guys on because we had seen that, and it was kind of a funny story. I saw that you guys made a huge donation to frontliners of masks and I think other PPE type equipment. And this was done, I want to say maybe last week, the week before. So I'd reached out to some friends, said, hey, how do you get a hold of Rotary Club of Guam? And they said, wow, it's a good thing you called because they just did another huge donation. So, and I said, great, let's get them on the show. So let's just start at the beginning. I know you guys do a lot of stuff in the community, so just take us back to square one. What type of donations have you guys made during the COVID, and why did you make them?
Well, since the shutdown happened in March, our group, we all came together and figured out what can we do best and what can we do right now. So it started first with donating meals to those working at a skilled nursing unit while we waited for masks to come in. So the first set of masks came in mid-April, and that was 6,000 masks that we distributed between GPD St. Dominic's, firefighters, and Guam Medical Association. And then we had a second batch of masks come in after our hard work and logistical nightmare dealing with shipping at the time.
Right.
We had another 6,000 masks. 2,400 masks come in. And those are N95s, and that went straight to GMH because that's pretty much the mask they use over there.
Right.
So throughout this whole thing, while we're waiting for masks, we see what we can do out in the community, and we also did a large food donation to Salvation Army. Some of our members on their own did monetary donations to different organizations. So anything that the Rotary Club can do to help, and something like we can do right now. Our members get together and just accomplish it.
Which Rotary Club is this? Because I know there's different.
Yeah,
different
this is
There's about 85 different Rotary clubs.
just on Guam alone, yes. No, there's about 5 on Guam from the Rotary Club of Guam. It's one of the first, basically the first club on Guam. Has been here for about 80 years.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
And
so this is the first time in 80 years we don't have any meetings in person. So it's been kind of a strange time for us.
Yeah. So how's that been? Because I've been invited to speak at a couple of Rotary meetings, and I can see there's a real camaraderie, friendship. What was it like going this whole COVID without being able to break bread with your members?
In the beginning, there was a shock when the announcement came from our president saying, "Hey, we kind of have to not do our weekly meetings." There's kind of a sticker shock, and after that, we're all on a WhatsApp chat, so we stay in contact. We had a couple Zoom meetings, and in those meetings, we've brought in the Rotary Club from Saipan to join in and see how they're doing. Another meeting we tried to do with the Palau Club just to see how they're doing. So we try to keep our members still informed and engaged, just through chats, through emails, through a few Zoom meetings that we've been doing.
So what else are you guys working on?
Right now, we just finished our last donation to GMH last week. The week before we did our Salvation Army donation. So our board members are going to get together and see where else to go with this. Usually we have a list of things that we do throughout the year, but since we're not meeting and we can't do public gatherings, it's a little bit hard to figure out where else to put our efforts.
Right.
So, our board will be getting together sometime next week and figuring out what direction we're going to go to. If it's going to stick to PPEs, stick to something to do with children, or our food donations.
Right, and that's exactly why we wanted to bring you on, Phil, is because we want to recognize the good work that you guys have done, and also recognize that even though you've done good work, you're still thinking about how much more you can give back to the community. And to us, that's why the Rotary Club of Guam are COVID heroes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Don't cry on me, Phil.
I'm trying not to. No, thank God this is not on TV because you can see the tears. But the community in general, community of Guam, has always been good just to support each other, help the neighbors out. It's been real nice to see just not only for the Rotary Club of Guam, but individuals helping each other, corporations manning up and donating between food or money or PPEs to frontliners. And it looks like this will keep going through the next few months. And, hopefully we'll just be kind to your fellow man because we're all in this together.
All right. Thank you, Phil, so much, man. And you tell the rest of the Rotarians that they're COVID heroes, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, take
Phil.
care.
Wash
Be
your
safe.
hands.
Bye.
Okay, bye. 10:01. Well, there you go. A lot of positivity to cap off this week. Bree, good job today.
Good job all week.
Good job, Jason.
Oh, thank you. And I just wanted to add congratulations to the Islanders. You guys watched their virtual graduation yesterday?
Yeah, it was
phenomenal.
Awesome. Yeah, pretty cool. Anything else, Bree, that you want to add in here before we go?
No, just make sure to check out Live Local Fridays. That's tonight, Stay Home Edition tonight at 6:30. Also, if you can't want to take a stand, there's 2 protests today. The first one is at I believe it's Chief Kapua Circle. I believe that starts at 3, and then there's the one that starts over at the ITC intersection at 4.
And there's going to be a DJ
at the 4 o'clock one, right?
I think the ITC one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you do show up, please wear a mask. They are going to be practicing social distancing.
Right.
And just be kind to one another.
And then also, I think NMI, in the CNMI, they're also doing a protest in support of Black Lives Matter there, too. So there's solidarity across the Marianas. Good to see. 10:02. Hey, on behalf of our digital team, we have a newbie in here. Rary, I call him, Jake. Good job, Jake. He's been training this week. That's why we haven't had empanada the last few days. And, of course, Jason Solis from our KUAM Stream digital team. For Sabrina Solis, Matt Tanani. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, been a great experience. What a fun show. We opened up talking about illegal dumping, and then somehow the conversation veered into what we got whooped with when we were kids.
Thanks to Jason Salas.
Yeah, my muscle memory of my dogging was hurting. So Jay, thanks for that and good job today, buddy.
All right, we'll all be in the fetal position with those memories this afternoon.
And also to Grab and Grub, thank you guys so much. It's 10:03. Good job today, Sabrina.
Good job.
Guau si Chris. Hasta. Job.
Bye.